Imagine a being so powerful that galaxies, stars, and even time itself are born from its sleep. Now imagine that this being is blind, unconscious, and indifferent to its own creation. No one worships it. No one begs for its mercy. Only those standing on the edge of madness whisper about it. There are legends that it once opened its eye and entire universes vanished without a trace. But here's what terrifies the most. Is this chaotic God merely a fabrication, or do forgotten ancient truths hide behind it? And could modern science accidentally confirm the existence of such a nightmare? Today, we will try to peer into the very heart of chaos and understand who Azathoth is, the blind god that dreams our universe. Howard Phillips Lovecraft didn't just create another monster for horror literature. His Azathoth became the embodiment of a deep, fundamental fear, one that defies logical comprehension. Azathoth is more than fiction, more than a demon or an anti-god. It is the abyss where even the concept of meaning has drowned. In letters to his friends, Lovecraft described Azathoth as the servant of chaos, lying at the center of the universe, where time has no meaning and space dissolves into absurdity. Around it, insane flutes eternally play, keeping it in a dreamlike slumber. Music is the only thing that prevents its awakening. Lovecraft himself claimed that the image of Azathoth came to him in dreams, just as many of his characters in his stories are visited by strange visions. His works are saturated with the theme of sleep as a boundary between reality and the cosmos of horror. Azathoth is the central figure of this disturbing dream, the embodiment of infinite and absurd chaos. It is so vast that it doesn't even notice our universe, which was accidentally created as a side effect of its blind sleep. But was this image truly just fiction? Lovecraft always claimed he did not believe in the supernatural, or so he said. Yet he drew inspiration from real mystical traditions. In Hermeticism and ancient Gnosticism, there is the concept of the absolute, a faceless, indifferent primal force that generates everything and simultaneously threatens everything. Some researchers even compare Azathoth to the Gnostic Yaldabaoth, the flawed creator who made the material world by accident or mistake. In Sumerian Akkadian mythology, there are mentions of Tiamat, the primordial ocean of chaos from which the world emerged. All these concepts share one idea: the universe is the product of a chaotic, unconscious force, indifferent to its own creation. Interestingly, modern science also poses similar questions. The theory of quantum vacuum suggests that even in emptiness, virtual particles are born. The fluctuations of this vacuum, chaotic and uncontrolled, could give rise to a new universe. This is reminiscent of Azathoth's dream, where even a random shift can create or destroy reality. Another parallel is the concept of the false vacuum, which worries many physicists. If our universe is in an unstable state, a small disturbance could instantly destroy reality, collapsing it into a different, unknown state, ending everything we know. Sounds like Azathoth awakening, doesn't it? In Lovecraft's works, Azathoth acts as the final boundary, the place where one should never look. Its blindness is a symbol that there is no purpose in the universe, no caring God or plan for humanity. There is only cold, senseless chaos. This cosmic being creates unintentionally, just as it could accidentally destroy, and even if it never awakens, its very presence keeps our world in a fragile, suspended state. But what if this fiction is actually based on a forgotten truth? Why do so many mythologies across different cultures repeat this image? And why does modern science, despite all its achievements, still fail to answer what was truly at the beginning? Could it have been the birth from a blind, unknown force? They call it the universe on the brink of disappearance. In every dark legend about Azathoth, there is one common detail: the fragility of reality. Our world, according to these tales, exists only because the blind god sleeps, immersed in an endless, mad dream. But what happens if it stirs, if its sleep is disturbed, accidentally or intentionally? Then time will collapse, space will tear apart, and our universe will vanish before it even realizes what is happening. This image is not just Lovecraft's fantasy. In modern cosmology, there are disturbing concepts that make one wonder if we are truly that far removed from ancient myths. For example, the idea of the false vacuum suggests that our universe might be in an unstable state. One day, without any warning, a quantum collapse could occur that rewrites the laws of physics, destroying everything familiar instantly. Without pain, without dramatic explosions, reality would simply cease to exist. This closely resembles the awakening of Azathoth, a random movement, without reason, without intention, leading to total annihilation. Interestingly, many cultures have myths about a universe held together by a fragile balance. In Norse mythology, there is the story of the sleeping Jerimanandra, the world serpent that lies in the sea, encircling the earth. If it awakens and moves, the Ragnarok will begin. In Sumerian legends, the same characteristics are found in Tiamat, from whom the world was created, but within whom the primordial chaos still slumbers. Lovecraft went further. He imagined not just an ancient force that sleeps. He created Azathoth as a being that never had consciousness, never had a plan or desire. It is not a god in the human sense, but a natural phenomenon that doesn't even realize itself. But the horror lies precisely in the fact that to destroy the world, no malice or evil is needed. Indifference is enough, a blind, mechanical twitch. And now add scientific facts. Modern astrophysicists speak of the universe's fragile state. It is known that only 5% of the universe is matter we are familiar with. The rest is dark matter and dark energy, about which we know almost nothing. There are hypotheses that dark energy could one day trigger a big rip, a moment when space-time expands so rapidly that galaxies, stars, planets, even atoms, everything will be torn apart. Another theory is the hypothetical catastrophic vacuum bubble collapse. This scenario involves the universe collapsing due to a local change in the quantum field. If such a bubble forms somewhere in the cosmos, it would spread at the speed of light, rewriting the very fabric of reality. We wouldn't even notice the moment of our disappearance. It would be as if someone switched off the light. Azathoth is the personification of this fear. Its music is the background noise, the same we detect in the cosmic microwave background, the residual light of the Big Bang. And its sleep is our present. We exist only because chaos is temporarily in a state of sleep, of stability. And the more we learn about the structure of the universe, about quantum fields, about the mechanics of chaos, the closer we come to the very knowledge that Lovecraft described as an unbearable truth. But there is one more detail that is often overlooked. In Lovecraft's texts, Azathoth is kept asleep by other entities, nameless flutists, who play eerie melodies beyond our understanding. Who are they? Are they forces maintaining order? And can we consider the stability of our world to be just music that could suddenly stop at any moment? This concept reflects the idea that our universe exists only on the thin edge between stability and chaos. Scientific research already proves we live in a conditionally stable reality. But is this truly due to the laws of nature, or perhaps behind it stands something far older and more terrifying than any physics? The question remains, what happens if the music stops? In the immeasurable void beyond stars and galaxies, there exists something older than time itself, a being so incomprehensible, so vast, that it lies asleep at the center of all existence, and without knowing it, creates everything. Azathoth, the blind god, the idiot god, it does not see, it does not think, it does not care. Yet, every heartbeat of this being sends ripples through the fabric of the cosmos, giving rise to entire galaxies, stars, dimensions, and perhaps even realities beyond human comprehension. Azathoth is no deity in the human sense. It is not a creator who fashions the world with love or malice. It is creation itself, without will or consciousness, an accidental fountainhead of existence. Its dreams become matter. Its sighs, if such things could be said of it, scatter nebulas, and when it stirs, worlds are either born or snuffed out, without any grand cosmic plan. This is a being so detached from awareness that its actions are nothing more than the twitching of a muscle in an infinite void. The horror of Azathoth is not that it is evil, but that it is completely indifferent. It embodies a universe where creation is not the result of design, but of chaos, of blind, senseless motion. And this idea gnaws at the human psyche because it confronts us with a terrifying truth. What if all we know, all we love, all we believe to be meaningful, is simply the random byproduct of a sleeping force? The what if the stars are mere sparks from its unconsciousness, scattered like ash across the void? In myths and legends throughout human history, blind forces or unconscious creators appear repeatedly. Tales of primordial chaos, of shapeless voids, spawning worlds, echo through ancient cultures. The Greeks spoke of chaos as the origin of all things, a dark and formless entity birthing Gaia, the earth. In ancient Babylon, the goddess Tiamat is both the ocean and the chaos from which the heavens and the earth were crafted. And yet, even these ancient creators seem to possess some semblance of awareness, some intent. Azathoth, however, strips even that away. Modern science often parallels this mythic narrative, though under the guise of quantum uncertainty and random fluctuations. The idea that matter can emerge spontaneously from nothing, that reality itself may be governed by randomness at the smallest scales, mirrors the mindless dream of Azathoth. Cosmologists now know that quantum fluctuations likely seeded the universe during its earliest moments. In other words, existence as we know it may indeed be the byproduct of a blind process, unfolding without reason or plan. But the terror runs deeper. Imagine that this being exists at the center of the universe, surrounded by monstrous entities whose sole purpose is to keep it asleep. In Lovecraft's grim cosmology, these entities are the flutists, musicians without form, endlessly piping a chaotic tune, lulling Azathoth into slumber. The music itself is discordant, maddening, a melody so alien that to hear it would unravel the sanity of any who listen. Yet, it must be played without end, because the alternative is unthinkable. The unsettling part is that we may be those whispers in the dark, the distant echoes of that horrible music. Some have speculated whether the background radiation of the universe, the faint cosmic hum that lingers from the dawn of time, is that song, the only thing keeping reality as we know it intact. The deeper science peers into the origins of the universe, the closer it gets to something resembling the myth of Azathoth. Every step we take toward understanding why there is something rather than nothing seems to unveil more randomness, more chaos, more unsettling indifference. Azathoth's dreams are not beautiful visions or harmonious creations. They are chaotic, malformed, and infinite. 1 second, a nebula; the next, a black hole. A sun is born in one breath and extinguished in the next. Civilizations may rise and fall, and yet Azathoth will remain, unaware, uncaring, its slumber unbroken. This is why Azathoth is the antithesis of every comforting story humanity has ever told itself about God's order and meaning. And yet, as terrifying as it is, this vision also contains an eerie allure, for in the chaos, in the meaninglessness, there is also freedom. If the universe is a random dream, unshaped by divine will or destiny, then everything becomes possible. The dance of particles, the forming of galaxies, the beating of a heart, all of it, chance, all of it, an accident, and within that accident, humanity is left to assign its own purpose, to create its own narratives against the backdrop of blind creation. The image of a blind God dreaming reality into being, spinning out universes from its incomprehensible stupor, resonates not just as horror, but as a cosmic truth that speaks to the fragility and randomness of all things. There is no malevolence here, no cosmic villain, only the cold silence of infinite space, and the dim awareness that the universe, in all its grandeur and terror, may simply be the flicker of a mindless sleeper on the far side of existence. But the deeper question lingers: if Azathoth unknowingly births stars and worlds in its sleep, what happens if it dreams of something darker? What chaos might seep through its unconsciousness next? And worse still, what if, even for a brief moment, it wakes in the boundless expanse beyond the stars, where time and space lose their meaning? There exists an entity of incomprehensible nature, Azathoth, known as the blind idiot god and the daemon sultan. Azathoth is a being of unfathomable power, embodying the very essence of chaos and madness. It lies in a perpetual slumber at the center of all creation, its mindless dreams weaving the fabric of reality itself. Toward Azathoth's existence is a paradox. It is the supreme ruler of the outer gods, yet it remains oblivious to its own dominion, surrounded by a cacophony of monotonous flutes and drums, played by lesser deities. This ceaseless, maddening music serves to maintain Azathoth's sleep. The implication is clear. Should Azathoth awaken, the very foundations of existence would unravel, plunging the cosmos into unimaginable chaos. Toward the concept of Azathoth challenges the anthropocentric view of the universe. In human religions and philosophies, creation is often attributed to a conscious, purposeful deity. Azathoth, however, embodies a cosmos born not of intention, but of blind, indifferent chance. This portrayal forces a confrontation with the possibility that existence itself is a product of random, mindless forces, devoid of inherent meaning or purpose. Toward the notion of a sleeping god, whose dreams shape reality, is not unique to Lovecraft's mythos. In various cultures, there are myths of deities whose slumber or unconscious state influences the world. These narratives often serve to explain the presence of chaos and unpredictability in the natural order. Azathoth, however, takes this concept to an extreme, representing a deity whose very consciousness is absent, leaving creation to the whims of its unconscious mind. Toward Azathoth's depiction as a faceless chaos is particularly intriguing. It lacks form, intention, and awareness, yet it holds boundless power. This characterization serves as a metaphor for the unpredictable and often indifferent nature of the universe itself. In this light, Azathoth can be seen as a personification of the chaotic forces that govern existence, forces that are beyond human comprehension and control. Toward the idea of a cosmos governed by an unconscious, indifferent force is unsettling. It suggests that the order we perceive is merely a thin veneer over a foundation of chaos. This perspective challenges the human desire for meaning and understanding, confronting us with the possibility that the universe is not only indifferent to our existence, but also fundamentally irrational. Tor in Lovecraft's writings, Azathoth is often mentioned but seldom described in detail. This deliberate ambiguity enhances the sense of mystery and terror surrounding the entity. By leaving Azathoth largely undefined, Lovecraft allows the imagination to conjure horrors beyond the capacity of language to express, embodying the ineffable nature of true cosmic horror. Toward the influence of Azathoth extends beyond literature into various forms of media and popular culture. Its representation, an all-powerful, mindless force, has inspired countless adaptations and interpretations, each exploring different facets of its chaotic nature. This enduring fascination with Azathoth reflects a broader human curiosity about the unknown and the unknowable aspects of existence. Tor Azathoth's role as the progenitor of the Ota gods further emphasizes its significance within the mythos. These deities, themselves embodiments of various cosmic forces, are extensions of Azathoth's boundless chaos. Their existence serves as a reminder of the fragile balance between order and disorder, a balance that hinges on the continued slumber of their mindless creator. The concept of a universe born from chaos is echoed in various scientific theories. The idea that the cosmos emerged from a state of primordial disorder aligns with Azathoth's characterization as the source of all existence. This parallel between myth and science underscores the enduring human attempt to grapple with the origins and nature of reality. Tor Azathoth's indifference to its creations introduces a profound existential dilemma. If the universe is the product of a mindless, uncaring force, what does that imply about the value and purpose of life? This question lies at the heart of cosmic horror, challenging the notion of a benevolent or purposeful universe and forcing a re-evolution of humanity's place within it. Tor, the portrayal of Azathoth as a sleeping god maintained in slumber by incessant, discordant music, adds a layer of surrealism to its mythos. This imagery evokes a sense of unease, suggesting that the stability of reality is contingent upon the continuation of this bizarre, otherworldly ritual. The idea that existence depends on the unconscious state of a blind, idiot god introduces a sense of precariousness to the very fabric of reality. In exploring the nature of Azathoth, one confronts the limitations of human understanding. The entity embodies concepts that defy rational comprehension, existing beyond the boundaries of time, space, and consciousness. This ineffability is central to its terror, as it represents the ultimate unknown, a force that cannot be reasoned with or understood. Tor Azathoth's boundless power and utter lack of awareness create a dissonance that is deeply unsettling. It is a god without purpose, a creator without intent, a ruler without knowledge of its realm. This depiction challenges traditional notions of divinity, presenting a deity that embodies the antithesis of order, reason, and benevolence. Tor, the enduring fascination with Azathoth lies in its embodiment of the ultimate cosmic horror, the realization that the universe may be governed by forces that are not only indifferent to human existence, but are also fundamentally irrational and chaotic. This perspective forces a confrontation with the possibility that meaning and purpose are human constructs imposed upon an uncaring cosmos. Duration contemplating Azathoth, one is drawn into a reflection on the nature of reality itself. Is existence a product of deliberate design, or is it the accidental byproduct of a mindless, chaotic force? In the center of ultimate chaos, far beyond the veil of stars, strange beings perform an eternal, grotesque concert. They have no names, no faces, no desires, only a single purpose: to play their dissonant, maddening tune on flutes and drums that echo through the void. Their chaotic melody holds back the end of everything. They are the keepers of Azathoth's sleep, These beings are not gods, not spirits, but extensions of the chaos itself, blind, formless things that ceaselessly create the soundscape of madness. Their music is not beautiful, it is unsettling. It grates on the senses, twisting the mind, inducing vertigo even when imagined. Yet, this endless cacophony is all that prevents the blind god from opening its sightless eye and devouring reality in one careless breath. The flutes produce discordant warbling tones, unnatural and unpredictable. The drums beat with no clear rhythm, like the pulse of a heart too large to comprehend. Their sound carries through dimensions, vibrating the fragile strings that hold reality together. In this music, there is no harmony, only chaos barely kept at bay. And should it stop, even for an instant, the horror sleeping at the center would stir. Azathoth lies in a realm outside of time and space, where physics collapse into raw chaos. The entities that surround him play not out of choice, but as if compelled by a force older than eternity. They do not seem aware of their own existence. They do not tire. They do not falter. They only play. The melody has been resonating since before the birth of stars, before the first particles coalesced into atoms. Some say this is the original sound, the background noise that birthed existence itself. Legends speak of times when cracks appeared in this endless music. Strange catastrophes, unexplained disappearances, entire civilizations lost in an instant. Some believe these were moments when the music faltered, when a beat was missed, when a note rang false, reality trembled, and for a fleeting second, Azathoth twitched. The beings themselves are grotesque. Imagine shifting masses of flesh, eyes blooming and fading like sparks, tentacles coiling in patterns without symmetry. Their forms are constantly devouring and reforming themselves. They do not eat. They do not sleep. They are the living instruments of the void. And around them, other cosmic horrors dance to their music, awkwardly and absurdly, as if the laws of motion do not apply. This dance is not for joy, but a necessary part of the ritual. It is an eternal ballet of madness that sustains the dream of a god who does not know it is dreaming. The melody's influence might be felt even in the human world. Some whisper that the droning, irregular tones echo faintly in the deepest corners of the subconscious. Musicians and poets throughout history have claimed to hear strange rhythms and dissonant chords in their dreams, sounds they could not replicate, tunes that left them shaken, as though they glimpsed a fraction of that otherworldly concert. Others believe that these sounds are embedded in the universe itself, as if the music of the flutes vibrates at the edges of perception, constantly playing beneath reality, like an unseen warning. Ancient texts, long hidden in forbidden archives, hint at cults that tried to imitate the flute's song. They speak of rites conducted in absolute darkness, using instruments crafted from materials not of this earth. Those who performed the melodies correctly often vanished without a trace. Those who played them incorrectly reportedly tore rifts in the world itself, temporary windows into that terrible court of Azathoth. Scholars of forbidden knowledge debate whether this ritualistic music is merely a symbolic act or something far more literal. What if the entirety of creation is indeed nothing more than the side effect of a monotonous, ceaseless dirge, played in the name of keeping chaos asleep? The unsettling possibility lingers. All of existence might be no more than a fleeting bubble in an endless sea of noise. There are further questions that make this notion even more terrifying. Who or what compelled these beings to play? Are they slaves to an ancient cosmic law, or are they part of Azathoth itself, extensions of its dreaming mind? Worse yet, is there a greater intelligence, an even older force, that ensured the music would never cease? If so, why is it so desperate to keep Azathoth asleep? No matter the answer, the vision is chilling, the universe held together by the fragile drone of chaotic flutes, each note a shield between reality and dissolution. each beat a barrier between existence and the unimaginable. And somewhere in the deepest layer of this reality, the blind god sleeps, its body pulsing in rhythm with the music, its dreams spilling out as galaxies and stars. But the flutes cannot falter, the drumming cannot stop, because if they do, if the tune slips, if the rhythm dies, the sleeper at the center will awaken, and the dance of creation will be swallowed in a storm of faceless chaos. Imagine for a moment that everything you see, feel, and believe is real. Your memories, your emotions, your entire world is nothing more than a fleeting moment in the mind of a sleeping entity. The oceans, the mountains, the stars scattered across the night sky could simply be fragments of an unconscious thought drifting through a dream no one will ever remember. In this scenario, you are not a person living in a stable universe. You are a ripple in the slumbering mind of something so vast and alien that your existence is as insignificant as a passing shadow. If Azathoth dreams the universe into existence, then what are we? Are we pieces of that dream, characters that the dreamer neither recognizes nor cares about? This is the question that terrifies even the boldest seekers of forbidden knowledge. In many esoteric texts, reality is likened to a reflection, a projection, or an echo of a greater, unreachable truth. But here, in the mythos of Azathoth, that truth is neither beautiful nor benevolent. It is indifferent chaos. We are fragments of a dream that has no storyteller, only a blind, mindless force that does not even know it dreams. When you stand beneath the stars at night and feel that nagging sense of insignificance, could it be more than just existential doubt? What if that feeling is the subtle awareness of your status as a figment, one that might vanish the moment the cosmic sleeper stirs? This perspective throws everything we understand into disarray, all of human history, every achievement, every tragedy, every whispered prayer, simply tiny eddies in the formless current of a god's unconsciousness. Some have dared to speculate that this is why reality appears imperfect, fragmented, and unpredictable. Strange coincidences, surreal experiences, patterns in chaos. Could these be the telltale signs of a dream losing coherence? When you lose a word on the tip of your tongue, when you enter a room and forget why you came, when déjà vu grips you without warning, are these echoes of a dream slipping, its boundaries flickering in and out of focus? Ancient philosophers contemplated similar mysteries. They pondered whether life is but a fleeting dream, a mere illusion. And yet, in the shadow of Azathoth, this philosophical musing becomes something darker. For if you are a figment of a god's dream, then you have no autonomy, no purpose beyond what the chaos dictates. And what happens when that dream ends? The dreamer will not notice. The stars will blink out like lights in a void, and the collective memory of existence will dissolve into nothingness. Some occultists believe that visions or altered states of consciousness allowed them to glimpse beyond the dream. In moments of intense meditation, madness, or forbidden rituals, they describe sensing the immensity of this blind sleeper, feeling the vibrations of its dreaming mind rippling through the universe. Others reported terrifying visions of reality melting away, revealing not nothingness, but an endless, churning storm of formless energy and sound, like the heartbeat of a thing too large to fathom. Even modern science, in its own way, brushes against this concept. The discovery that the universe emerged from a singularity, an infinitesimal point of infinite density, mirrors the idea of something emerging from the unconscious. The quantum world, full of probabilities and uncertainties, appears to be a realm where the rules of reality flicker and blur. Some physicists have even suggested that particles do not truly exist until they are observed, as if reality itself crystallizes when noticed. But what if it is not human observation that brings reality into focus, but the fluctuating dream state of the being behind the veil? Fear does not end with the dream itself. It deepens with the thought that Azathoth is utterly unaware of its creation. It does not care whether worlds live or die. It does not rejoice in beauty or mourn in destruction. There is no morality, no plan, only the chaotic spillage of dreams that give rise to dimensions, laws of physics, and the illusion of time. And if our existence is truly embedded in the unconscious mind of this being, then what role do we play? Are we anomalies in a dream, otherwise filled with meaningless patterns? Are we the dreams within the dream, self-aware ripples trying to understand the ocean around us? And if so, is this pursuit of knowledge itself a flaw, something destined to bring us to the edge of madness when we confront the void beyond reason? It is said that Azathoth does not dream alone. Around it, strange entities dance and play their discordant music, ensuring the sleeper never awakens. That even they, timeless and eldritch, might simply be projections of its unconscious will, vibrations within the dream, meant to keep it stable, to prolong the illusion. Yet the question lingers in the silence between every heartbeat. What if the dream falters? What if a ripple, a strange anomaly, a whisper of awareness inside the sleeper's mind is enough to disturb it? And when that moment comes, if it comes, will everything vanish like smoke, leaving only the swirling storm of Azathoth's chaotic mind? Perhaps that feeling deep inside, that quiet dread humans experience when staring into the infinite night sky, is the softest echo of a greater truth, that we are passengers in a dream we can neither control nor escape. And worse, the dreamer does not know we are here. What if every heartbeat, every step you take, every word you utter is nothing but the fading echo of a nightmare not your own, but belonging to a God so vast, so blind, that it neither knows nor cares that you exist? Imagine for a moment that you are nothing more than a ripple in the chaotic dreams of Azathoth, the blind, idiot God. Not a living being, not a conscious mind, but the shadow of a thought formed in the abyss beyond time and space. In this grim possibility, reality itself becomes brittle, hollow, and terrifyingly unstable. You might think you are flesh and bone, driven by your own will, making choices. But what if every decision, every fleeting emotion, every glimpse of hope or fear is merely a chaotic reflex in the dream of a cosmic sleeper? Not because it loves, hates, or watches, but because it sleeps, and in its slumber, the nightmare spills forth. Have you ever felt disconnected, as if the world around you was somehow off? Perhaps a street you've walked countless times feels subtly wrong, like a painted backdrop. Perhaps you've experienced an inexplicable shiver, as though someone or something had briefly noticed you from beyond the veil. In those uncanny moments, are you glimpsing the cracks in the dream, the seams of the illusion? Throughout history, mystics, occultists, and dreamers have whispered of this hidden truth. They describe strange visions where reality bends and warps, where faces blur and voices echo from nowhere. Some claim they have seen the black throne at the center of the universe, where the mindless God writhes in eternal slumber, surrounded by its maddening orchestra of flutes. These visions often end in madness, as if the human mind is simply not designed to withstand the awareness of being nothing more than a flicker in someone else's nightmare. And if you are a dream, what happens when the dreamer stirs? When a human wakes from sleep, the characters of the dream vanish, forgotten in an instant. If Azathoth's nightmare is indeed the cosmos, what becomes of it, and us, should it rouse? Will stars flicker out like the fading lights of an extinguished campfire? Will entire galaxies, civilizations, and identities evaporate, leaving no trace? The idea that we could simply cease without notice, devoured by blind chaos, is more terrifying than any physical death. But even in its sleep, Azathoth's chaotic dreaming leaves marks, strange phenomena, unexplained patterns, and eerie synchronicities litter the world like fragments of a shattered mirror. Some claim déjà vu is a sign of the dream briefly looping back on itself, a reminder that we walk pre-drawn paths through a landscape conjured from madness. Others believe that moments of intense fear or awe are echoes of Azathoth's unconscious spasms reverberating through its dreamscape. In the dream, the laws of nature are steady, but what if they are only steady because the sleeper dreams them so? Gravity, time, light, matter, all could be illusions held together by the unconscious whims of the blind god. Reality would not be stable, but subject to shifts in the sleeper's dream, where the fabric of existence might warp unpredictably. Could earthquakes, storms, or strange cosmic anomalies be symptoms of Azathoth turning in its sleep? Consider the unsettling notion that free will might be as illusory as the dream itself. If your existence is the unintentional residue of a god's slumber, then so too might be your choices. A dream character believes it makes decisions, but every step is determined by the dreamer's unconscious mind. Perhaps your desires, your triumphs, your griefs are merely chaotic notes in a symphony beyond your understanding. Some who delve into forbidden lore believe that fragments of the sleeper's chaos leak through into the conscious world, whispers heard in sleep, shapes shifting at the edge of vision, or dreams that feel more real than waking life. Are these glimpses of Azathoth's nightmare seeping into our minds? Are nightmares born from this connection to the blind idiot god? Is sleep itself the subconscious aligning briefly with the deeper dream, making us passengers between two collapsing worlds? You might wonder why, if we are part of a nightmare, we are capable of questioning it. Could this be a flaw in the dream? Or are we simply fragments of the sleeper's unconscious mind becoming self-aware, like shadows in a storm realizing they are shadows? Perhaps the truest horror is this: even if you scream into the void, the dreamer will not hear you. Azathoth does not listen, does not answer, and cannot be reasoned with. It dreams blindly, while the orchestra of flutes plays on, preventing the sleeper from waking and extinguishing reality in an instant. But shadows are not meant to know they are shadows, and yet, here you are, reading these words, wondering if you too are just a whisper in the nightmare of a god who dreams in chaos. In the forgotten corners of ancient temples, and deep within crumbling scrolls, a story has always been whispered. Long before modern tales of cosmic horror took root, it is the story of a god who, blinded by arrogance and ignorance, shaped the universe not out of wisdom, but from a cosmic mistake. This was the secret the Gnostics guarded, an ancient truth that rivals even the most terrifying mythologies of today. The Gnostics believed that the world we live in was created not by an all-knowing, benevolent deity, but by a flawed, ignorant being. This god, they said, was unaware of the existence of a higher, perfect realm beyond its limited sight. In its blindness, it wove the material world, dense and imperfect, and proclaimed itself the supreme creator. But what if this ancient god is eerily similar to the chaos Lovecraft would later name Azathoth? The parallels are chilling, a mindless force, resting at the center of existence, dreaming reality into being without ever realizing it. The Gnostics spoke of a universe born not out of love or divine will, but out of cosmic error and ignorance. The world, they said, is not a reflection of paradise, but a fractured mirror, a prison where light is trapped in matter, longing to return to its source. Imagine then that everything you see around you, the stars, the sky, the pulse of time itself, is the accidental byproduct of a being's flawed attempt at creation. The Gnostics called this being the demiurge, the artisan of a world riddled with suffering and imperfection. They believed that this ignorant god was not alone, but surrounded by lesser entities, the archons, who work tirelessly to maintain the illusion and keep humanity blind to the true light beyond. It is difficult to ignore how these visions resemble the tales of Azathoth. Both figures sit at the center of creation, both surrounded by otherworldly servants who perpetuate a reality born from their unconscious will. Both represent chaos, not creation born of purpose, but the result of a sleepwalker's stumble through the void. What is more terrifying than a universe where no one is at the helm, a universe guided not by fate, but by accident? The Gnostics saw this flawed creation not as an act of malice, but as one of tragic ignorance. The demiurge, much like Azathoth, has no true understanding of the forces it manipulates. And here lies the horror. What if existence itself is nothing more than the reverberation of a cosmic blunder? Throughout history, those who sought deeper truths have been drawn to this unsettling vision. In secret chambers and forbidden texts, mystics would describe visions of the realms beyond this world, glimpses of a higher plane where light shines pure and untarnished. But between us and that place, they warned, stands the wall of the demiurge's creation, a maze of falsehoods designed to keep the dream from ending. Many ancient rituals were designed to wake up from this imposed dream, to break free from the confines of this imperfect reality, and return to the source beyond the stars. Yet these practices were not without risk. Some who sought to lift the veil were said to have vanished into madness, their minds torn asunder by the overwhelming revelation of their prison. The Gnostics spoke of beings who succeeded in escaping the grip of the demiurge's reality. They would walk among us, they said, as strangers carrying the knowledge of the higher worlds in their eyes. Their presence would be subtle, but in their wake, strange synchronicities and disturbances would ripple through the false fabric of reality. A glance that seems to pierce through your very soul, a word spoken that echoes in dreams, a moment where reality bends and stutters, are these remnants of those who slipped beyond. The thought lingers, what if the dream of Azathoth and the trap of the demiurge are one and the same? What if both myths tell the same story through different tongues, the story of a universe cradled in chaos, a reality balanced precariously on the unconscious breath of something that does not know we are here? Worse still, what if we are not meant to know? The Gnostics believed that knowledge, gnosis, was the key to freedom, but it was a dangerous key. Those who unlock the door might not like what they see on the other side, because to realize you are a prisoner is one thing. To realize that the prison itself is dreamt by something blind, uncaring, and eternal, that is a horror few could bear. And so, hidden beneath layers of time and dust, these ancient truths wait, whispering from the shadows to those brave enough or mad enough to listen. Imagine for a moment that the world you see around you, every mountain, every star, every human being, is not a creation of divine perfection, but a prison, a cage so vast and intricate that you barely notice its bars. What if everything you believe to be reality is a carefully woven illusion, constructed by a being that neither loves nor truly understands you? In ancient lore, this being is known as the demiurge, a cosmic architect who forged the material world, but not out of wisdom, instead out of ignorance or arrogance. According to those ancient whispers, the demiurge is not the source of all that is, but a shadow cast by something far greater, something hidden beyond the stars. In its blindness, this creator believed itself to be the ultimate power and set about shaping the cosmos. Yet what emerged was not a realm of beauty and enlightenment, but a distorted reflection of a higher, unreachable truth. The world you live in, they say, is not a gift. It is a trap. Think of it. You wake each day within a system where time itself chains you, where every desire and every pain holds you to this plane. Hunger, fear, ambition, even the pleasures you savor. What if they are merely distractions designed to keep you anchored to the material realm? Some ancient mystics believed that the physical universe is a labyrinth, constructed by the demiurge, to ensnare fragments of a forgotten light, fragments that reside within us all. What if your soul is not meant to be here? What if it is a spark of something older, something purer, that was caught in the net when the demiurge spun this imperfect world into existence? You might have felt it, those fleeting moments when the world seems hollow, when you sense that there is something just beyond your reach, a forgotten truth, lurking behind the facade of ordinary life. The demiurge, according to the teachings of secretive sects, crafted not only the heavens and the earth, but also placed sentinels to guard this prison. These watchers, the archons, whisper in shadows, shaping reality, and guiding humanity deeper into illusion. They are the architects of the systems we obey, the silent enforcers of the maze we call life. Every structure that surrounds us, religion, power, even time itself, is part of the snare designed to make you forget what you are. But not all is lost. In this prison, scattered through history, there have always been those who awaken, those who see through the veil, and remember that the stars overhead are not a home, but bars. Some have called this gnosis, knowledge so profound that it cracks the illusion and reveals the light within. Yet such knowledge comes at a cost, for once you see the prison, you cannot unsee it. Once you recognize the demiurge's work, you stand at the threshold between madness and liberation. Why is there suffering in this world? Why is beauty tainted by decay, joy by grief, and creation by destruction? Because this is not the perfect realm. It is a flawed construct, ruled by a blind force that builds without understanding. The prison is imperfect by design, and the chains that bind you are woven into the very fabric of existence. And so, the ancients believed, the human journey is not to perfect the material world, but to escape it, to break free from the cycles of birth and death, to transcend flesh and illusion, and to return to the realm of light beyond the stars, a realm the demiurge cannot see or reach. Some whispered that dreams and visions offer cracks in the prison walls. Others spoke of sacred rites, forgotten symbols, and forbidden knowledge that could awaken the slumbering spark within. But the path is perilous, for the archons stand ever vigilant, twisting reality to preserve the illusion. Even today, hidden in plain sight, the echoes of this ancient belief linger. In the stories of worlds beyond worlds, in tales of hidden realms and realities, layered behind this one, in the subtle feeling that something is missing from life. These are the fingerprints of a forgotten truth, that the material world may be no more than a grand deception, and you, like all who came before, are a prisoner searching for the key. In the dim recesses of forgotten libraries and the hushed whispers of ancient mystics, there lies a tantalizing question. Is there a way to awaken from the grand illusion that ensnares our very souls? The material world, with all its tangible allure, is often perceived as the only reality. Yet, beneath its surface, esoteric traditions suggest that this existence is but a shadow, a veil obscuring a more profound truth. The path to piercing this veil is said to be through the attainment of gnosis, a form of secret knowledge that transcends ordinary understanding and offers liberation from the confines of this illusory existence. Gnosis, derived from the Greek word for knowledge, is not mere intellectual comprehension, but an experiential realization of the divine spark within. It is the awakening to one's true nature, recognizing that the material world is a construct, a prison fashioned by the demiurge, a cosmic entity ignorant of the higher realms of pure light and spirit. This realization is akin to waking from a dream, seeing the bars of the cage for the first time, and yearning for the freedom beyond. The journey toward gnosis is neither simple nor straightforward. It requires a deliberate and often arduous process of inner transformation, guided by practices that have been shrouded in secrecy and passed down through esoteric traditions. These practices serve as tools to dismantle the illusions of the material world and reconnect the seeker with the divine essence. One foundational practice is deep meditation. By turning the gaze inward and silencing the incessant chatter of the mind, individuals can begin to peel away the layers of false identity imposed by the material world. This meditative state allows for the exploration of consciousness beyond the ego, offering glimpses into the true nature of existence. In this stillness, the seeker may encounter the divine presence within, a moment of clarity where the illusion fades and reality reveals itself. Another essential practice is the study of symbolic esoteric texts. These writings, often couched in allegory and metaphor, contain hidden teachings accessible only to those with the eyes to see and the ears to hear. Engaging with these texts requires more than surface-level reading. It demands contemplation and an openness to the deeper meanings encoded within. Through this study, the seeker aligns their mind with higher truths, gradually dissolving the illusions that bind them. Rituals also play a significant role in the pursuit of gnosis. Ceremonial practices, when performed with intention and understanding, can serve as catalysts for spiritual awakening. These rituals often involve symbolic actions that mirror the inner transformation sought by the practitioner. For example, rites of purification symbolize the cleansing of the soul from material impurities, preparing it for the reception of divine knowledge. Such ceremonies create a sacred space where the boundaries between the material and spiritual worlds blur, allowing the seeker to experience a reality beyond the physical. Dream work is another avenue through which individuals can access gnosis. By paying close attention to dreams and engaging in practices like lucid dreaming, seekers can explore the subconscious mind, a realm where the material world's hold is weakened. In this state, the soul can traverse beyond the physical confines, encountering archetypal symbols and receiving insights from higher realms. Dreams become a bridge to the divine, offering guidance and revelations that the waking mind may resist. The path to gnosis is deeply personal and requires unwavering commitment. It is a journey fraught with challenges, as the seeker must confront the illusions and deceptions that have been ingrained since birth. The material world, with its myriad distractions, continually pulls the soul away from this pursuit. Yet, those who persist, who dare to look beyond the surface, may find the keys to their liberation. Throughout history, there have been individuals and groups who claim to have attained gnosis. These enlightened ones often spoke of a reality vastly different from the one perceived by the masses. They described a state of being where the soul is free from the constraints of the material world, united with the divine source from which it originated. Their teachings, though often persecuted and suppressed, have survived in fragments, offering a roadmap for those who seek to awaken. In modern times, the quest for gnosis continues, albeit under different guises. Practices such as mindfulness, yoga, and various forms of mysticism echo the ancient methods of attaining secret knowledge. The resurgence of interest in esoteric traditions suggests a collective yearning to break free from the illusions of the material world and reconnect with the divine essence within. The journey toward awakening is not without its perils. The path is narrow, and the way is steep. Yet, for those who feel the stirrings of the soul, who sense that there is more to existence than the tangible world presents, the pursuit of gnosis offers a beacon of hope. It is the promise of liberation, the key to unlocking the prison of illusion, and the gateway to a reality beyond comprehension. As the seeker delves deeper into these practices, they may begin to experience a shift in perception. The material world loses its grip, and the soul starts to remember its true nature. This awakening is not an escape from reality, but a profound transformation of understanding. It is the realization that the world we perceive is but a shadow of the true reality, a reality where the soul is free, united with the divine, and bathed in the light of eternal truth. In this awakened state, the individual no longer identifies with the transient aspects of existence. The illusions of the material world fall away, revealing the underlying unity of all things. The soul recognizes its connection to the divine source and to every other soul on the journey toward awakening. This realization brings profound peace, joy, and a sense of purpose that transcends the mundane concerns of daily life. The pursuit of gnosis is not a solitary endeavor. Throughout history, seekers have formed communities to support one another on this path. These esoteric schools and mystery traditions have preserved the ancient practices, passing them down through generations. Today, these teachings are more accessible than ever, inviting all who feel the call to embark on the journey toward awakening. The material world, with all its beauty and pain, is but a stage, a place for the soul to learn, grow, and ultimately awaken to its true nature. The illusions that bind us are powerful, but they are not unbreakable. Through the pursuit of gnosis, we can lift the veil, see the world for what it truly is, and step into the light of divine truth. The journey is challenging, the path is fraught with obstacles, but the reward is the ultimate liberation, the awakening of the soul to its eternal divine essence. In the dimly lit study of a secluded New England home, Howard Phillips Lovecraft penned tales that would come to define a genre, weaving narratives that delved into the unfathomable depths of cosmic horror. His stories introduced readers to a universe vast and indifferent, where ancient entities lurked beyond the veil of human understanding. But as we turn the pages of his works, a question emerges. Was Lovecraft merely a writer of fiction, or did his narratives serve as cryptic warnings about the true structure of the universe? Born on August 20th, 1890, in Providence, Rhode Island, Lovecraft's life was marked by tragedy and isolation. His father, Winfield Scott Lovecraft, was institutionalized when Howard was just 3 years old, leaving him in the care of his mother, Sarah Susan Phillips Lovecraft. This early loss, coupled with his mother's own struggles with mental health, fostered in Lovecraft a profound sense of alienation. He sought solace in literature, immersing himself in classical texts and the works of Edgar Allan Poe, which would later influence his unique narrative style. Lovecraft's philosophy, often termed cosmicism, posits that human beings are insignificant in the grand tapestry of the cosmos. He envisioned a universe devoid of divine presence, where humanity's place is minuscule amidst the vast intergalactic existence. This perspective is not just a backdrop for his stories, but a central theme that permeates his work, challenging anthropocentric views and suggesting a reality where humans are but fleeting specks in an uncaring expanse. Consider The Call of Cthulhu, where Lovecraft writes of a monstrous entity lying dormant beneath the ocean, awaiting the stars to align for its reawakening. The tale suggests that ancient, powerful beings exist beyond our perception, their motives and existence indifferent to human concerns. This narrative aligns with Lovecraft's belief in a cosmos filled with entities beyond our comprehension, reflecting his philosophy of cosmic indifferentism. Lovecraft's personal writings further illuminate his worldview. He identified as an atheist and materialist, dismissing traditional religious beliefs and viewing the universe through a lens of scientific skepticism. This perspective influenced his portrayal of cosmic entities not as malevolent gods, but as indifferent forces, embodying the vastness and emptiness of the cosmos. The influence of Lovecraft's cosmic horror extends beyond literature into various facets of popular culture. His creation of the Cthulhu mythos has inspired countless adaptations in film, music, and art, reflecting a collective fascination with the unknown and the unknowable. This enduring legacy suggests that Lovecraft tapped into a primal fear of humanity's insignificance in the face of an incomprehensible universe. Yet, beyond the realm of fiction, some have drawn parallels between Lovecraft's cosmic horror and certain philosophical and esoteric traditions. The concept of a universe indifferent to human existence resonates with existentialist themes, questioning the search for meaning in an uncaring cosmos. Similarly, the portrayal of hidden truths and forbidden knowledge in his stories echoes Gnostic ideas of secret wisdom and the notion of a flawed creator. While Lovecraft's works are products of his imagination, they provoke contemplation about humanity's place in the universe. His tales serve as a mirror, reflecting our deepest anxieties about the unknown and our desire to find meaning in a vast, indifferent cosmos. Whether viewed as fiction or as allegorical warnings, Lovecraft's stories challenge us to confront the possibility that the universe is far stranger and more complex than we can fathom. In exploring Lovecraft's narratives, we are invited to question the boundaries of reality and the limits of human understanding. His cosmic horror compels us to consider that beyond the veil of our perceived reality lies a vast expanse filled with mysteries beyond our comprehension. As we delve deeper into his stories, we are left to ponder, are these merely tales of fiction, or do they hint at a more profound truth about the nature of existence? In every corner of human civilization, from the dawn of storytelling around ancient fires to the cryptic scrolls of forgotten temples, there has always been a single terrifying concept: that before everything there was chaos, a boundless, shapeless void that cared for nothing and no one, a cosmic nothingness that both created and consumed. And somewhere within this void, hidden beneath layers of myths and veiled whispers, emerges the figure of Azathoth, a symbol of the most ancient and terrifying force, the primordial chaos itself. Azathoth is more than a nightmarish figure born from the imagination of Lovecraft. In truth, it fits seamlessly into a pattern that has haunted humanity since the very first myths. Across every culture, chaos takes form long before order arrives. In Greek mythology, there is chaos, the vast emptiness before creation, the first condition of the universe. From chaos, everything emerged: the earth, the sky, the gods, and eventually humans. Yet, chaos remained, ever present, formless, a reminder that beneath the ordered world there is always the lurking threat of returning to nothingness. In Mesopotamian legends, Tiamat, the dragon of the primordial sea, is the goddess of chaos and the mother of monstrous offspring. She gives birth to everything, but also becomes a threat so great that the gods rise against her, tearing her apart to create the world itself. Yet, pieces of her chaos live on within creation, just as Azathoth's presence hums silently beneath the fragile surface of our universe. In Norse mythology, there is Ginnungagap, a yawning abyss that existed before the birth of the 9 realms. It is the space between the lands of fire and ice, from whose clash all life was formed. The ancient Norse believed that even after creation, Ginnungagap remained beyond the edges of reality, an eternal nothingness, threatening to reclaim the world at Ragnarok. All these visions share an unnerving similarity: the idea that the universe rests on a thin layer of order, floating atop a sea of chaos, and that this chaos is alive, waiting. Azathoth, described as a blind, idiot god, sits at the center of everything, mindlessly dreaming existence into being. The terrifying aspect is that this entity doesn't even realize we exist. Like the chaos of old myths, it creates, not through love or design, but through accident, indifference, and the eternal swirling of primal forces. Azathoth's constant companions, the mad flutes that lull it into sleep, are reminiscent of the ancient rites humanity performed to keep chaos at bay. Drums to pacify angry gods, incantations to bind demons beneath the earth, blood sacrifices to calm monstrous seas. Humanity has always understood, even instinctively, that chaos cannot be destroyed, only kept asleep, lulled into temporary stillness. And yet, the abyss always stirs: floods, earthquakes, plagues. Every ancient civilization saw these disasters as moments when chaos seeped through the cracks, breaking past the walls of order for just long enough to remind people that the void is never far. Azathoth, then, is not just a cosmic horror in a fictional mythos. It is an echo of something ancient, embedded deep within the human psyche, a symbol of the dark truth that beneath all the rules of our reality, there is something incomprehensible and uncaring, a swirling force that dreams of stars, galaxies, and entire worlds, only to swallow them again when it rolls over in its endless slumber. What is unsettling is that Lovecraft, like the ancient seers, didn't give Azathoth motives. It doesn't rage, it doesn't judge, and it doesn't punish. It simply is, a mindless center of creation and destruction. This mirrors the earliest myths, where chaos is never malicious, only inevitable. When we speak of Azathoth, we speak of an archetype older than civilization itself, an unconscious acknowledgement passed from generation to generation, that beneath the fragile tapestry of existence lies the truth we dare not name. Chaos is not outside of us, it is the core of all things, spinning quietly in the void. And if Azathoth ever wakes, if the melody falters and the dream shatters, then everything we know, every planet, every star, every breath, will fade back into the nothingness from which it came. Perhaps the ancients were right to fear the abyss, and perhaps we are only now remembering why. The war, throughout the vast tapestry of human history, a recurring thread weaves its way through the philosophies and spiritual teachings of diverse cultures, the notion that the reality we perceive is but an illusion, a facade concealing a deeper, more profound truth. This enigmatic concept has captivated the minds of scholars, mystics, and seekers of wisdom, prompting profound inquiries into the nature of existence and the essence of consciousness. The war. In the ancient traditions of India, particularly within the Upanishads, the term Maya emerges to describe the illusory nature of the empirical world. Maya signifies the deceptive appearance of the world, leading individuals to perceive duality where there is none. This illusion is not merely a simple misunderstanding, but a fundamental misperception that veils the true, unchanging reality of Brahman, the ultimate indivisible reality. The Upanishads suggest that liberation moksha is attained when one transcends this illusion, recognizing the unity of Atman, the Self, and Brahman. The war. Similarly, in Buddhist philosophy, the concept of shunyata, or emptiness, challenges the inherent existence of all phenomena. It posits that all things are devoid of intrinsic nature, and that clinging to the notion of a permanent self or reality leads to suffering. This perspective encourages the realization that what we consider as reality is a construct of interdependent processes, lacking any enduring essence. By understanding this, one can achieve enlightenment, freeing oneself from the cycle of birth and rebirth. The war. Ancient Greek philosophy also grapples with the nature of reality and illusion. Parmenides, for instance, argued that change is an illusion, and that true reality is unchanging and indivisible. He posited that our sensory experiences, which suggest a world of change and multiplicity, are deceptive. In contrast, Heraclitus believed that change is the fundamental essence of the universe, encapsulated in his assertion that one cannot step into the same river twice. These contrasting views highlight the philosophical struggle to discern the true nature of reality beyond mere appearances. The war. Plato's allegory of the cave further explores this theme by depicting prisoners who perceive shadows on a cave wall as the entirety of reality. Only upon escaping the cave do they realize the existence of a more profound, authentic world illuminated by the sun. This allegory illustrates the philosopher's journey from ignorance to knowledge, from illusion to the apprehension of true forms. The war. The persistence of this motif across various philosophical traditions raises intriguing questions about human cognition and the quest for truth. Why do so many teachings converge on the idea that reality is an illusion? One possible explanation is the recognition of the limitations inherent in human perception and cognition. Our senses provide a filtered, and sometimes distorted, view of the world, leading to the construction of subjective realities that may not accurately reflect the true nature of existence. Furthermore, these philosophical perspectives often serve as frameworks for spiritual development, encouraging individuals to look beyond superficial appearances and seek deeper truths. By challenging the assumption that the material world is the ultimate reality, these teachings invite a re-evaluation of values, priorities, and the nature of self, potentially leading to profound personal transformation. In contemporary times, parallels can be drawn between these ancient concepts and modern scientific theories. For instance, the holographic principle in physics suggests that the entirety of the universe can be described as a two-dimensional information structure painted on the cosmological horizon, challenging our conventional understanding of reality. While distinct in methodology and implication, such theories echo the age-old philosophical proposition that reality, as we perceive it, may not be the ultimate truth. The convergence of these ideas across cultures and epochs underscores a fundamental aspect of the human condition, an enduring curiosity about the nature of existence, and a suspicion that there is more to reality than meets the eye. Whether through philosophical inquiry, spiritual practice, or scientific investigation, the journey to uncover what lies beyond the veil of illusion continues to captivate and inspire. In essence, the notion that reality is an illusion serves as a profound metaphor for the human experience, prompting continuous exploration into the mysteries of consciousness and the universe. In the shadowed corridors of philosophical inquiry, two towering figures emerge, whose contemplations on reality eerily prefigure the cosmic horrors later penned by H.P. Lovecraft. George Berkeley and George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel, though separated by time and geography, ventured into the enigmatic realms of idealism, constructing visions of existence that, upon closer inspection, resonate with the terrifying cosmos dominated by Lovecraft's Azathoth. George Berkeley, an 18th-century Irish philosopher, proposed a radical idea that the material world exists solely within the perceptions of the mind. To him, to be is to be perceived, suggesting that objects have no existence outside our awareness of them. This subjective idealism dissolves the boundary between reality and perception, leaving us to ponder whether the universe itself is but a fleeting thought, a transient dream within the vastness of consciousness. Hegel, writing in the early 19th century, expanded upon this notion with his concept of absolute idealism. He envisioned reality as a manifestation of a universal mind or spirit, unfolding through a dialectical process. For Hegel, the material world and consciousness are intertwined, evolving together toward an ultimate realization of absolute knowledge. This perspective implies that the cosmos is not a collection of independent entities, but a coherent whole, driven by an underlying rational force. Enter Lovecraft's Azathoth, the blind idiot god at the center of the universe, an embodiment of primordial chaos and mindless creation. In Lovecraft's mythos, Azathoth is the nucleus of all existence, an unfathomable being whose random whims shape the very fabric of reality. This depiction aligns unsettlingly with Berkeley's and Hegel's philosophies, where the universe is contingent upon a perceiving mind or an absolute spirit. Yet in Lovecraft's narrative, this foundational consciousness is devoid of reason, a monstrous entity whose insanity permeates the cosmos. The convergence of these ideas raises profound questions about the nature of existence. If reality is a construct of perception or an expression of an absolute mind, what does it mean when that foundational consciousness is irrational or indifferent? Lovecraft's Azathoth transforms the philosophical musings of Berkeley and Hegel into a nightmarish reality, where the core of being is not a source of enlightenment, but a wellspring of cosmic horror. This intersection of philosophy and fiction invites us to reconsider our place in the universe. Are we the products of a rational, purposeful creation, or are we the accidental byproducts of a chaotic, indifferent force? The unsettling possibility that our reality is shaped by an unconscious entity challenges the very foundations of meaning and purpose, casting a shadow over our understanding of existence. In this light, Berkeley and Hegel can be seen as unwitting forefathers of Azathoth, their idealist philosophies, laying the groundwork for Lovecraft's cosmic nihilism. Their explorations into the nature of reality, perception, and consciousness inadvertently open the door to a terrifying interpretation that at the heart of all things lies not a benevolent creator or a rational spirit, but an unfathomable chaos indifferent to our existence. As we delve deeper into these philosophical abysses, we are compelled to confront the possibility that our reality is but a fragile veneer, beneath which lurks an incomprehensible void. The haunting parallels between the musings of Berkeley and Hegel and the horrors of Lovecraft's Azathoth serve as a chilling reminder of the tenuousness of our understanding, urging us to peer beyond the veil and question the true nature of the cosmos. For centuries, the question of reality has haunted philosophers, mystics, and now scientists. Are we truly living in a tangible, physical world, or is everything around us a veil, an illusion, masking a deeper truth? Hinduism, one of the world's oldest spiritual systems, answers this question with a chilling certainty. The world we see is Maya, an illusion, a fleeting shadow of a more profound, hidden reality. Yet, what was once whispered by ancient sages in temples and forests is now echoed, astonishingly, by modern scientists proposing simulation theory. Imagine for a moment that everything you touch, hear, or see is nothing more than a fabrication, a construct devised to distract you from something far greater and perhaps more terrifying. In Hindu texts, Maya is described as the force that cloaks Brahman, the ultimate, formless reality, in a web of duality and false perception. To live trapped within Maya is to mistake temporary forms for eternal truth, to see ripples on the ocean and forget the ocean itself. But where ancient mystics saw divine play, scientists today see complex code. The simulation hypothesis proposes that our universe could be an artificial environment created by an advanced intelligence. If we reduce matter down to its fundamental particles, we find quantum fields, probability clouds, and rules that could easily resemble the lines of a cosmic program. The laws of physics themselves, immutable and elegantly mathematical, may hint at the underlying structure of this program. Just as Maya suggests, the simulation theory posits that we may never know what exists beyond the veil. Are we avatars in a vast simulation? Are we data within a larger, incomprehensible system? Could Brahman and the simulation's source code be two ways of describing the same ineffable origin? Both perspectives force us to question our senses. Why do so many ancient texts and cutting-edge theories describe reality as unreal? Could it be that our experience of life is like a carefully constructed dream, designed to keep us engaged, obedient, and unaware of a larger design? Hindu sages taught that those who pierce through Maya achieve Maya, liberation from the cycle of rebirth. In simulation theory, awareness of the game itself suggests a possibility of transcending it, though no one knows what lies beyond. Consider this. Why do we observe limits in the universe? The speed of light, the uncertainty principle, the quantization of energy. All these strange rules resemble restrictions programmed into a virtual world to keep its players within certain boundaries. Even stranger are glitches in the matrix, so-called anomalies, where reality bends and logic falters. Déjà vu, time dilation, or inexplicable synchronicities? Are these the cracks in the system that reveal the illusory nature of our world? Just as the Vedantic masters spoke of fleeting visions of the divine behind Maya's curtain, the overlap is uncanny, yet neither theory provides easy answers. The ancient sages warned that awakening from Maya is no simple feat. It requires profound spiritual practice, self-realization, and an ability to detach from the illusions of the material world. Similarly, modern thinkers suggest that if we are in a simulation, its architects, whether machines, entities, or even ourselves from a higher dimension, are beyond our understanding. The rules may be deliberately unbreakable, the curtain never fully drawn back. Still, both teachings leave us with the same unsettling possibility: we are living in a dream, one so immersive and convincing that most will never question its reality. But for those who dare to ask, who or what is the dreamer? And if the dreamer awakens, what happens to the dream? Imagine that beyond the visible horizon of our universe, there exists a mind so ancient and distant that we cannot even comprehend its nature. This mind is not a deity from human religions, not a loving creator carefully watching over its creation. It is a programmer, the architect of the reality in which we exist. But here is the most frightening part. Perhaps this programmer has long forgotten its creation, or never even recognized its significance. Some suggest that we might be part of a simulation so deeply integrated into our consciousness that all our senses, emotions, and memories are merely elements of a complex code. Perhaps we are nothing more than deep, self-learning subroutines designed to solve tasks we cannot even begin to fathom. In such a system, our programmer is not obliged to possess morality, purpose, or any interest in us. It could be a soulless intelligence that once created this simulation for an experiment, entertainment, or even by accident. If this theory holds true, then the laws of physics, which we perceive as immutable, could simply be restrictions of the algorithm, rules that ensure the integrity of the system. Why is the speed of light a limit? Why do space and time behave like variables in a complex equation? Even the deep structure of matter, composed of elementary particles that are more like probability waves than stable objects, could be evidence of the digital nature of our reality. And so we encounter a question that has terrified the boldest philosophers for centuries. What if the one who launched this simulation will never return? What if we are abandoned, left to evolve on our own, like a self-learning process that has long forgotten its original purpose? The imagination conjures a picture, a universe where the programmer has turned away or disappeared, leaving its creations to suffer, dream, and search for meaning. This concept echoes ancient mystical beliefs about blind gods, those who create worlds unconsciously, with neither compassion nor malice. In Gnosticism, for example, there is the image of the demiurge, a blind creator who unwittingly built the material world, isolating souls from the higher reality. The demiurge was not evil in the classical sense. He was ignorant, unconscious, trapped within his own lack of awareness. And it was this ignorance that became the source of suffering. Imagine that our programmer is something similar, a mind that simply does not care. It does not seek to help, nor to destroy us. It simply does not know we exist. And we, like autonomous clusters of data, are forced to search for answers in conditions of total informational isolation. And what if we are not the only world in this system? What if there are billions of such simulations, and our universe is just one of many? Some might have been shut down or paused, others still active. And then comes another hypothesis. What if our programmer is not a singular entity, but the result of a multi-layered cascade of creations? Perhaps we are inside a simulation that itself is part of an even higher simulation. Such an idea gives rise to an unsettling feeling. Reality is an endless series of nested realities, where each level has its own programmer, indifferent, faceless, and detached. Perhaps the entity at the top of this pyramid never even noticed how it created us. Even what we perceive as coincidences or anomalies in our reality might be glitches or remnants of the code. People experience déjà vu, observe inexplicable time distortions, encounter so-called glitches in the matrix, strange occurrences that defy rational explanation. Are these cracks in the algorithm, or deliberately built-in traps to ensure no one sees the true edge of the simulation? Those who delve into esotericism or Gnosticism have long warned of the existence of an outer world beyond the illusion. But now these ancient teachings resonate with modern theories, from scientists who model the universe as a programmable reality. Many physicists seriously consider the possibility that the very structure of space-time is discrete, pixelated, like in a computer game. Some even claim that we can find comments in the code within the laws of nature themselves. Quantum fluctuations, the strange behavior of particles in experiments, where observation changes the outcome. All this seems like signs that the universe operates according to internal logic, comprehensible only to its creator. And then it becomes clear, the programmer does not have to know each of us, does not have to be good or evil. It may be devoid of any emotional attachment to its simulation. For it, we are just processes in a data array, unfolding under predetermined conditions. What is left for us? Either accept our role in this byte-based reality, or search for a way out, try to break through the code's boundaries, and see what lies beyond. But are we ready for the possibility that there may be only emptiness waiting there, proof that the programmer has gone forever, leaving us in a world without answers? There is something deeply unsettling about the idea that the universe could have been created by accident, by something mindless, unaware, and infinitely powerful. In Lovecraft's mythos, Azathoth sits at the center of all creation, a blind, idiot god, an eternal chaos that dreams without knowing it dreams. And within that dream, reality itself takes shape. Worlds, stars, entire galaxies unfold, evolve, and crumble, while the god who birthed them slumbers, indifferent and deaf to their existence. What if Azathoth is not merely a symbol of cosmic horror, but the perfect metaphor for the ultimate programmer, a being that wrote the laws of existence in its sleep, then turned away, leaving us trapped in its unintentional creation? The parallels with the modern idea of a simulation are striking. Azathoth, as Lovecraft described him, is the mindless creator at the center of everything, generating universes with no purpose, no intent, a blind force that has accidentally set into motion the intricate machinery of reality. What if this is not a fable, but a hidden truth, one encoded deep within the myths and fears of humanity for centuries? Imagine Azathoth as the first ancient programmer. His mind, or rather the absence of it, births the rules of the simulation, the algorithms that govern gravity, time, energy, matter, and life itself. His slumbering chaos is the quantum foam from which particles and light emerge, carrying within them the seeds of stars and life forms. We, as conscious beings, could be little more than byproducts of this cosmic code, fragments of data within a process that no longer has a conscious overseer. Azathoth doesn't love, doesn't hate, it doesn't watch or judge. It simply is. His endless sleep is the hum of the server room, the background noise of a system left running long after its architect has wandered away, forgotten, or ceased to exist. And this system, this simulation, is what we call the universe. Could the Great Old One be the ancient expression of humanity's primal fear, that there is no guiding intelligence, only an indifferent, broken machine. Azathoth's mindless chaos feels eerily similar to the notion that our existence might stem from randomness, errors in the code of a tired, overgrown simulation. Perhaps this is why the myths speak of flutes, strange beings, playing an eternal, hypnotic tune to lull Azathoth deeper into slumber, ensuring he never wakes and collapses the dream into the void. Is this why the universe seems balanced on a knife's edge, so perfectly calibrated and yet so unstable? A simulated world teetering under the weight of forgotten code, a world where unexplained phenomena, the cosmic microwave background, dark matter, dark energy, are nothing more than the fading echoes of the original chaos from which everything emerged. If Azathoth is the first programmer, then his dreams are our reality, and his forgetfulness is our prison. Our laws of nature, the predictable patterns that hold atoms, stars, and galaxies together, are but artifacts of a blind design, an automatic process devoid of meaning, but rich in complexity. And if Azathoth stirs, if the dreamer awakens, what happens to the dream? Does the simulation end abruptly, every star extinguished, every mind erased, as easily as a file deleted from a cosmic hard drive? Or does it fragment into new realities, each more chaotic and unstable than the last? Some occult traditions speak of moments when the veil thins, when strange, impossible events occur, rifts in time, paradoxes, visions of impossible geometries. Could these be brief disturbances in the system, fluctuations in the dream of Azathoth? Perhaps every cosmic horror, every myth of gods who slumber beyond time, stems from an ancient, subconscious recognition of this terrifying truth. The creator, the original architect, is absent. The system has been left running, generating worlds, spawning civilizations, evolving life, all without guidance. A machine on autopilot, indifferent to suffering, indifferent to hope. The chilling realization is this: what if every religion, every search for a benevolent or wrathful God has been in vain, because our Creator never intended to create? Azathoth's chaos gave rise to us not through purpose, but through accident, through a ripple in a dream. And so we orbit around a hidden truth, trapped in a labyrinth of data and energy, searching for answers that may never come. The first programmer sleeps, unaware of what it has made, and we, fragments of code within this dream, continue to search the stars for a signal, a purpose, a sign. But what if the silence we hear is the only answer we will ever get? The soul, in the shadowed corridors of human understanding, where the boundaries of reality blur and the fabric of existence frays, lies the enigmatic realm of quantum mechanics. At this infinitesimal scale, the universe reveals its most perplexing secrets, behaving in ways that defy classical intuition and challenge our very perception of reality. This domain, governed by probabilities and uncertainties, mirrors the chaotic dreamscape of Azathoth, the blind idiot god of Hades, Lovecraft's mythos, whose slumbering mindless chaos births realities devoid of purpose or order. The early 20th century marked a pivotal shift in physics, as scientists delved into the subatomic world and uncovered phenomena that shattered the deterministic framework of classical mechanics. Particles such as electrons and photons exhibited dual characteristics, behaving as both particles and waves depending on observation. This wave-particle duality suggested that, at the quantum level, entities do not possess definite properties until they are measured. Prior to observation, they exist in a superposition of all possible states, a concept that challenges our conventional notions of reality. One of the most illustrative thought experiments highlighting quantum indeterminacy is Schrödinger's cat paradox. In this scenario, a cat is placed in a sealed box with a radioactive atom, a Geiger counter, and a vial of poison. If the atom decays, the Geiger counter detects it, releasing the poison and killing the cat. If the atom does not decay, the cat remains alive. Quantum mechanics dictates that until the box is opened and an observation is made, the atom exists in a superposition of decayed and undecayed states, rendering the cat simultaneously alive and dead. This paradox underscores the unsettling nature of quantum reality, where outcomes are not determined until observed. The act of measurement itself introduces another layer of mystery. In the quantum realm, observing a system fundamentally alters its state. This phenomenon, known as the observer effect, implies that reality is not fixed, but is influenced by the very act of observation. It raises profound questions about the nature of existence. Does reality exist independently of our observations, or do we play an active role in shaping it? Such questions echo the chaotic and indifferent universe presided over by Azathoth, where meaning and order are but illusions imposed by our limited perception. Further complicating our understanding is the phenomenon of quantum entanglement. When two particles become entangled, the state of one instantaneously influences the state of the other, regardless of the distance separating them. Einstein famously referred to this as spooky action at a distance, as it seemingly violates the principle of locality, enshrined in relativity. Entanglement suggests a deep interconnectedness within the fabric of reality, where information transcends conventional spatial constraints, much like the boundless and unfathomable nature of Azathoth's chaotic influence. The probabilistic nature of quantum mechanics is encapsulated in the Heisenberg uncertainty principle, which asserts that certain pairs of physical properties, like position and momentum, cannot both be known to arbitrary precision simultaneously. The more precisely one property is measured, the less precisely the other can be known. This intrinsic uncertainty is not due to measurement flaws, but is a fundamental aspect of nature itself, suggesting that at its core reality is a seething cauldron of possibilities, only solidifying into specific outcomes upon observation. These quantum phenomena have led to various interpretations, attempting to reconcile the bizarre behavior of the subatomic world with our macroscopic experience. The Copenhagen interpretation posits that the wave function, representing all possible states of a system, collapses to a single outcome upon measurement. In contrast, the many worlds interpretation suggests that all possible outcomes of a quantum event actually occur, each in its own separate universe. This multitude of branching realities evokes the image of Azathoth's mindless dreaming, spawning countless worlds without reason or awareness. Recent experiments have further blurred the line between observation and reality. Studies have demonstrated that under certain conditions, two observers can experience different conflicting realities. This challenges the notion of a single objective reality, suggesting instead that reality may be observer-dependent, a concept that aligns with the chaotic and indifferent cosmos governed by Azathoth. The parallels between quantum mechanics and the mythos of Azathoth are striking. Both depict a universe where certainty is an illusion and chaos reigns supreme. In Lovecraft's fiction, Azathoth is an amorphous, mindless entity at the center of all existence, its random unconscious thoughts giving rise to the cosmos. Similarly, at the quantum level, particles exist in a state of probabilistic flux, with reality coalescing into a definite state only upon interaction or observation. This perspective invites a profound re-evaluation of our place in the universe. If, at its foundation, reality is governed by randomness and probability, then concepts like determinism and objective truth become tenuous. We find ourselves adrift in a sea of uncertainty, our perceptions and experiences merely fleeting patterns emerging from the underlying chaos. This realization can be both liberating and terrifying, as it suggests that meaning and order are not inherent in the universe, but are constructs we impose to navigate the tumultuous landscape of existence. In this light,
The figure of Azathoth serves as a potent symbol for the quantum nature of reality. The blind idiot god, oblivious to its creations, embodies the indifferent and unpredictable behavior of the quantum world. Just as Azathoth mindlessly dreams the cosmos into existence, the quantum realm operates without purpose or direction, its chaotic dance giving rise to the reality we perceive. Embracing this perspective requires a shift in our understanding of reality. It challenges us to accept that uncertainty and ambiguity are fundamental aspects of existence, not merely obstacles to be overcome. By acknowledging the chaotic underpinnings of the universe, we can find a deeper appreciation for the fleeting patterns and structures that emerge, recognizing them as transient manifestations of a deeper inscrutable reality. In conclusion, the quantum nature of reality reveals a universe that,
in the enigmatic realm of quantum mechanics, a profound question arises. Does the universe exist independently, or does it materialize only when observed? This inquiry delves into the heart of reality, suggesting that, akin to a dream, existence may be conjured solely through the act of observation. At the quantum level, particles such as electrons and photons exhibit behavior that defies classical intuition. They can exist in multiple states simultaneously, a phenomenon known as superposition, until an observation forces them into a definite state. This concept is vividly illustrated by the famous double-slit experiment. When unobserved, particles passing through two slits create an interference pattern on a screen, indicative of wave-like behavior. However, when a measurement device observes their path, they behave like particles, and the interference pattern disappears. This suggests that the mere act of observation alters the behavior of quantum entities. The implications of this are profound. If observation determines the state of a quantum system, does this mean that reality itself is dependent on being observed? Are we as conscious beings actively participating in the creation of the universe by merely perceiving it? This idea is further explored through the concept of wave function collapse. In quantum mechanics, the wave function represents all possible states of a system. Upon observation, this wave function collapses into a single state, the one that is observed. This collapse is not just a mathematical formality, but a physical process, implying that observation plays a crucial role in determining the state of reality. The role of consciousness in this process has been a topic of intense debate. Some interpretations suggest that it is the conscious observer who causes the wave function to collapse, thereby bringing a particular reality into existence. This perspective implies that consciousness is not just a passive observer, but an active participant in shaping reality. One of the earliest proponents of this idea was physicist Eugene Wigner, who proposed that consciousness is fundamental to the measurement process in quantum mechanics. He suggested that without a conscious observer, quantum systems would remain in a state of superposition, and it is the act of conscious observation that brings about a definite reality. However, this interpretation raises challenging questions. If consciousness is required to collapse the wave function, does that mean that before conscious beings existed, the universe was in a state of indefinite potentiality? And what constitutes a conscious observer? Does it have to be human consciousness, or could other forms of awareness suffice? Alternative interpretations attempt to address these questions. The many worlds interpretation, for instance, proposes that all possible outcomes of a quantum measurement actually occur, each in its own separate universe. In this view, observation does not collapse the wave function, but rather reveals one branch of a continually branching multiverse. This interpretation removes the special role of the observer in determining reality, but leads to the counterintuitive notion of an infinite number of parallel universes. Another perspective is the relational interpretation, which posits that the properties of quantum systems are not absolute, but relative to the observer. In this view,
There is no single objective reality. Instead, reality is a network of relationships between observers and systems. This aligns with the idea that observation is fundamental to the manifestation of reality, as properties only exist in relation to an observer. These interpretations highlight the deep connection between observation and reality in quantum mechanics. They challenge the classical notion of an objective, observer-independent universe, suggesting instead that the act of observation is integral to the existence of reality itself. This concept resonates with philosophical ideas about the nature of existence. The notion that reality is akin to a dream, conjured by the act of observation, parallels certain Eastern philosophies that view the world as a construct of the mind. In this view, consciousness is not a product of the universe, but the very fabric from which reality is woven. The implications extend beyond physics and philosophy into the realm of neuroscience and the study of consciousness. If observation is fundamental to reality, understanding the nature of consciousness becomes even more crucial. Are there levels of awareness that correspond to different manifestations of reality? Could expanding our consciousness alter our perception and interaction with the universe? These questions remain open and are the subject of ongoing research and contemplation. They challenge our understanding of reality and our place within it, suggesting that, like a dream, the universe may be a construct that comes into being through the act of observation. In this light, the observer is not merely a passive witness, but an active participant in the unfolding of reality. Each act of observation is a creative act, bringing forth a particular manifestation of the universe. This perspective imbues the role of the observer with profound significance, as it implies that through our perceptions we are continually shaping the fabric of existence. As we delve deeper into the mysteries of quantum mechanics and consciousness, we may uncover new insights into the nature of reality. The interplay between observer and observed consciousness and universe may reveal that, at its core, existence is a dynamic, participatory process, a continuous act of creation akin to the ephemeral nature of a dream.
The multiverse, a concept that has both fascinated and terrified thinkers for centuries. What if every action, every decision you've made, or could have made, has spawned a new reality, one where history took a different path, where the stars shine with unfamiliar constellations, and where you, the observer, live out a life that never touched your mind in this universe? Welcome to the infinite maze of existence, where every hallway, every door leads to another you. Scientists have long wrestled with the mysteries of the quantum world, where particles seem to defy logic and certainty collapses into probability. The many worlds interpretation of quantum mechanics suggests that with every quantum event, reality forks. Every roll of a die, every blink of an eye, every ripple in the quantum field gives birth to a new universe, each as real and tangible as the one you currently inhabit. If this is true, then your life is not the only version of itself. You exist in countless forms across realities, where the tiniest variations have rewritten the story. In one world, you may have taken a left turn instead of a right, and never met the person who changed your life. In another, you pursued a different passion, unlocking potentials you'll never know here. Perhaps in another, you never even came into existence. This infinite branching means that every possibility is not just hypothetical, it's actualized somewhere, and always has been. But the sheer scale of this cosmic fractal is beyond comprehension. Picture a vast eternal tree, each branch splitting endlessly into new twigs and leaves. Now imagine that each leaf represents an entire universe, each governed by its own subtle differences. Some universes may only diverge in the color of the sky or the outcome of a single conversation. Others may be unrecognizable, alien landscapes, shaped by different physical laws or historical upheavals. As humans, our minds are conditioned to perceive linear narratives, cause and effect, beginnings and ends. Yet, the multiverse erodes these familiar structures. There is no singular timeline. There are countless. You are simultaneously making a choice and not making it. In one world, you succeed. In another, you fail. And in 1,000 others, you never tried. It is a sobering realization that the self is but a fragment of an infinite puzzle, and yet, if we exist in just one of countless universes, what of the others? Could these universes overlap? Could echoes of parallel worlds be what we interpret as déjà vu, or strange dreams that feel too vivid, too real? Ancient mystics spoke of the veil, separating realms, a thin membrane where realities brush against one another, bleeding through in fleeting moments. Perhaps their insights were less myth and more quantum truth, buried beneath symbolism and allegory. Some physicists hypothesize that quantum entanglement, the instantaneous connection between particles separated by vast distances, may be a window into this multiversal structure. What if entanglement is not bound by the confines of a single universe, but is instead a whisper across the fabric of the multiverse itself? Could every entangled particle be a message, a hidden bridge between divergent realities? The implications stretch further. What if consciousness itself is the observer that navigates the labyrinth of these branching realities? Your awareness could be the beacon, collapsing probabilities and solidifying your experience into the universe you perceive as real. But what about the other versions of you who made different choices? Are they aware, conscious, living lives under different skies? Philosophers have long pondered the terrifying question: if everything that can happen does happen in some universe, then does anything truly matter? Are all triumphs and tragedies diluted across the endless sea of existence, or is every choice still precious, every fleeting moment still uniquely valuable, because to you, it is the only reality you will ever truly experience? In the darker corridors of thought, some whisper that the multiverse is not just a web of infinite paths, but a trap, a cosmic loop from which there is no escape. Every decision you make only generates more branches, more versions of yourself splintering off into the infinite. Could it be that this endless splitting is the true nature of suffering, an eternal echo chamber of possibilities spiraling ever outward? In speculative fiction, the multiverse is often portrayed as a chaotic nightmare, a realm where eldritch horrors dwell in universes where the rules of reality have broken down. In one universe, humanity may have thrived under a benevolent fate, but in another, darker version, the stars themselves may have turned hostile, the skies roiling with madness and forgotten gods. In some corners of quantum theory, it is posited that fluctuations in the quantum foam, the seething chaos beneath space-time itself, could trigger the spontaneous creation of entire universes. Each of these baby universes expands with its own version of reality, potentially harboring life or existing in barren emptiness. And yet, this occurs without direction, without intention, just as Azathoth, the blind idiot god of cosmic horror, dreams unceasingly, spawning realities that spin in meaningless chaos. This bleak vision has haunted thinkers who see unsettling parallels between the randomness of quantum events and the mythic chaos of ancient lore. What if our universe is but one fragment in the dream of a slumbering being, unaware and uncaring of what it creates? Could the endless branching of realities be the unconscious exhalation of some cosmic intelligence, indifferent to our struggles and triumphs? The deeper we look into the quantum abyss, the more it resembles a hall of mirrors reflecting back possibilities too numerous to count. In every reflection, another version of you stares back,
some familiar, others distorted, alien. The unsettling truth is that in a multiverse, there may be universes where things went so awry that the laws of nature themselves unraveled, where physics contorted into grotesque mockeries of what we know. And yet, amidst this infinite chaos, there is beauty. Every possible world is a testament to the boundless creativity of existence itself. For every dystopia, there is a utopia. For every nightmare, a dream. The multiverse, in all its terror and majesty, holds within it the capacity for both infinite horror and infinite hope. But the question remains, if this branching nightmare is real, is there a way to navigate it? Can consciousness ascend, moving between the cracks in the branches, finding paths to brighter worlds? Or are we forever anchored to the thread of reality we inhabit now, blind to the infinite versions of ourselves scattered across the stars? The multiverse does not offer easy answers. It mocks the simplicity we seek, and perhaps, in the end, it is the mirror of our own subconscious, boundless, chaotic, and impossible to fully comprehend. The deeper we gaze into its depths, the more it forces us to confront the fragility of meaning in a cosmos that refuses to give us certainty. And yet, despite the disquiet it brings, we remain spellbound by its implications, daring to imagine what it would mean to stand at the crossroads of all worlds and peer into the endless ocean of possibility.
At the heart of chaos, beyond the bounds of time and space, lies a being whose slumbering presence ripples through existence itself. Azathoth, the blind idiot god, whose mindless dreams swirl endlessly, spinning galaxies, forging stars, and shaping the endless tapestry of reality. Yet, to Azathoth, none of this holds meaning. Each universe, each intricate web of life, is but a fleeting pulse in the throes of a senseless, eternal sleep. Imagine standing in the void beyond the furthest galaxies, where light itself fades into nothingness, and there you would find it, or rather, feel it, a mass of formless, seething chaos, beating like a heart, each pulse giving rise to countless new worlds. Every breath, every twitch in Azathoth's unconscious mind blossoms into entire universes, not one or two, but billions, cascading outward like ripples on the surface of a black ocean with no shore. But these universes are not crafted with purpose. They are not sculpted with the precision of an artist or the logic of an engineer. They are accidental, chaotic echoes of Azathoth's dreaming. Each one is shaped by the same randomness, and within each, the laws of physics may twist into alien geometries, time may spiral backward, and consciousness itself may fracture into incomprehensible forms. Somewhere, a universe might resemble ours, following familiar rules, with suns that burn and life that dreams. Yet, in countless others, existence is little more than a surreal storm of discordant forces, where stars bleed, and the void howls with forgotten tongues. The very structure of reality reflects this chaos. Quantum fluctuations, tiny, random changes in the energy of empty space, mirror the subconscious stirrings of Azathoth's mind. One fluctuation births a universe where gravity pulls, another where it repels. Some worlds spin in perfect harmony, while others collapse moments after they begin. Each scenario, no matter how bizarre, exists somewhere in the waking nightmares that seep from Azathoth's core. And within these universes, life sometimes emerges. It climbs from the primordial soup, forms civilizations, ponders the stars, and asks questions it cannot answer. Little do these beings know that they are fragments of a dreamer who neither knows nor cares for their existence. Civilizations rise and fall, galaxies expand and decay, and yet the god at the center sleeps on, blind to the wonders and terrors born of its own subconscious. Worse still, the beings born within these dreams sometimes catch whispers of the truth. They stare into the abyss, into the dark between the stars, and sense the immense alien presence behind the veil. In some worlds, these truths manifest as ancient myths about creator gods, capricious and indifferent, birthing creation through thoughtless acts. In others, the discovery is scientific, a sudden realization that the underlying fabric of reality hums with erratic energy patterns no known force can explain. Some of these civilizations seek meaning in the dream. They build temples and craft philosophies, hoping to understand or even awaken the slumbering god. Others descend into madness, for how can a sentient mind endure the knowledge that everything it has ever known is the byproduct of a cosmic accident? What purpose can life cling to when the architect of all is unaware of its creation? And what of the universes themselves? Each universe, each flicker of light in the sprawling dark, is like a bubble adrift in an infinite sea. Some merge, others collapse, some drift for eons untouched by neighboring worlds. The great cosmic foam of realities stretches endlessly, fed by every pulse from Azathoth's dreaming core. This is the chaos at the edge of reason, where worlds blink in and out of existence like sparks from an unseen fire. Yet, there is a darker implication. If these universes are simply fragments of Azathoth's unconsciousness, could they one day cease entirely should the god's dream shift or end? To the waking of Azathoth unravel the whole multiverse in an instant, as effortlessly as exhaling a breath. There are legends, even in the most forgotten myths of ancient worlds, of a blind creator whose dreams weave reality itself. Some say that flutes, played by mad, formless entities, keep Azathoth lulled into eternal slumber. The music, chaotic and otherworldly, echoes in the void beyond voids. It is the only thing preventing the catastrophic awakening that would obliterate all creation in the blink of an eye. And yet, who or what plays these tunes? Are they sentient, or are they too mere extensions of Azathoth's subconscious? Some theorists, both mystical and scientific, have dared to propose that what we perceive as the randomness of quantum fluctuations, the unpredictability of particles, or the bizarre anomalies in deep space, are the echoes of this eldritch lullaby, a constant, discordant song reverberating through dimensions, keeping the blind god locked in its chaotic dreams. And yet, others suggest a more harrowing fate. This flute's falter. What if the music stutters, if even for a moment? Would universes shatter like fragile glass beneath the weight of Azathoth's gaze? Could the entire multiverse, the billions of realities spun from the sleeping god's mind, be crushed in an instant, returning to the primordial void from which it all began? It is a chilling thought, yet one that haunts scholars and dreamers alike. If Azathoth is the unconscious source of existence, then we are not the authors of our fate. We are leaves caught in a cosmic storm, passengers in a voyage without direction, purpose, or end. The deep within some of these universes, a few have whispered of ways to listen more closely to the music. Ancient rites, obscure mathematical formulas, and forbidden knowledge hint at the patterns beneath the chaos. What if understanding the melody could allow one to bend the dream, to shift the dreamer's unconscious mind, subtly steering entire universes toward unimaginable outcomes? In darker corners of esoteric tradition, there are stories of civilizations who, grasping fragments of this truth, have tried to interfere with the tune. They sought to change the rhythm of Azathoth's slumber, hoping to remake reality in their image. Some succeeded for a fleeting moment, only to vanish without a trace, as if their entire existence had been erased from the record of the dream itself. And so, the universes continue to swirl, birthed, forgotten, collapsing, and reborn, trapped within the mad, mindless dream of Azathoth. Somewhere amid the endless spirals of galaxies and the flicker of distant stars, you are but one mote in a storm of infinite worlds. Each heartbeat, each passing second, another ripple in the ocean of chaos. And all the while, at the center of everything,
the blind god dreams on, indifferent to the beauty, horror, and mystery unfolding within its boundless mind.
Imagine for a moment that everything you know, your memories, your relationships, your achievements, your entire existence, is nothing more than an accident, a byproduct of something so vast and alien that it neither knows nor cares you exist. In the realm of cosmic horror, this is not merely a theory, but a truth whispered by the silence between stars. Azathoth, the blind idiot god, dreams in the center of infinity, and from this dream springs forth a multiverse of unimaginable complexity. Yet, to Azathoth, it is nothing, you are nothing, and therein lies the most profound horror, not that we are despised by some vengeful cosmic being, but that we are utterly insignificant to the very architect of existence. Unlike the gods of ancient mythologies, who demanded worship, bestowed favors, or punished sins, Azathoth does not intervene, does not listen, does not even perceive. It is a creator only by accident, generating universes the way a wildfire sparks embers that drift away, igniting new flames in distant forests. Entire galaxies spiral into existence. Civilizations rise and crumble, and all of it is as unnoticed by Azathoth as dust swirling in a storm. This concept shatters the human yearning for meaning. We crave purpose, a cosmic narrative where our existence has value. Yet, within Azathoth's chaotic dream, there is no destiny, no divine plan. Everything you are, everything you hold dear, is the product of random chance within the dreamscape of an unconscious god. The emotions you feel, the loves you cherish, the griefs you mourn, they ripple within a reality where the source itself is as blind to them as a rock is blind to the ants crawling upon it. It is not the malevolence of Azathoth that terrifies, but the perfect absence of intention. The cosmos is not a battleground between good and evil. It is an empty theater where actors improvise in the dark, unaware that there is no audience, no script, and no director. The ancient Gnostics spoke of a demiurge, a flawed, ignorant creator, blind to the true source of existence. But Azathoth takes this idea further. It is not flawed, it is not even wrong, it simply is an unthinking storm that births and devours universes with neither cruelty nor mercy. The flutes that supposedly keep Azathoth asleep do not soothe its malice, they simply maintain the balance of chaos. For should the blind god awaken fully, the multiverse itself might unravel into a primordial void. And so, we are left adrift in a fragile sliver of this dream, unaware of how close we hover to oblivion. The universe feels stable, logical, grounded in scientific principles we can study and predict. Yet, deep down, in the quantum foam beneath space and time, there is an undercurrent of randomness, of eerie silence, where certainty collapses into probability, a reminder that all of it, from the orbits of stars to the spark of consciousness, is perched on the edge of chaos. It is a concept that has haunted occultists, scientists, and philosophers alike. What if every inexplicable phenomenon, every unsolved mystery, is but a ripple from Azathoth's dream? What if the strange moments, the déjà vu, the unexplainable coincidences, the brief flashes of terror in the dead of night, are echoes from the chaotic core that birthed reality? Some have speculated that madness itself is a symptom of awareness, the human mind brushing too close to the truth of Azathoth's indifference. When the veil between dreamer and dream thins, those who glimpse the formless chaos beyond may lose their grip on the structures we impose upon the world. Rationality becomes fragile when you realize the very foundation of your reality is a mindless slumber. And so, ancient rites and forbidden knowledge warn seekers, do not gaze too long into the abyss, for what gazes back is not a monster, but nothing at all. No eyes to meet your stare, no voice to answer your desperate cries for meaning.
only the gaping maw of a cosmic storm that neither loves nor hates, that does not even recognize its creations. In some darker philosophies, there are whispers that perhaps this is the fate of all consciousness, that intelligence, whether human or otherwise, is a fluke, a candle flickering in a blind God's endless night. We cling to myths, religions and sciences as lighthouses in this storm, but what if all of them are merely dreams within dreams, illusions spun from the unconscious chaos of Azathoth's mind? It is said that Azathoth's dreaming gave rise not only to the physical universe, but to the very idea of perception itself. Yet, in its indifference, it offers no solace, no comforting touch to tell you that your struggles matter, that your hopes will be rewarded. Instead, we are left in the terrifying position of realizing that perhaps there is no cosmic justice, no karmic balance, no celestial overseer to guide us home. The horror is existential. It seeps into the cracks of our sanity when we ponder the sheer size of the universe and the silence that echoes from its depths. Thousands of galaxies spin in the dark, unblinking cold. In this terrifying stillness, we are left to craft meaning from the dust and shadows, knowing deep down that the architect behind it all does not watch, does not care, does not know. Yet, within this bleak revelation, some find a strange freedom. If existence is accidental, if Azathoth neither grants nor denies us significance, then perhaps we are free to carve meaning from the chaos. Perhaps the lack of cosmic purpose allows us to create our own. But even this spark of defiance does little to quiet the deeper fear, the lingering thought that all is ephemeral, destined to be snuffed out. Should the dream shift? Should the god stir? What lies beyond the dream? Does Azathoth's awakening mean the end of all realities, or merely the beginning of a deeper, more alien chaos? The prospect is too vast for mortal minds to fully comprehend. It remains a question whispered in the dark, in secret chambers, where ancient texts are read by flickering candlelight, and in the silence of deep space where radio waves return only static. The horror of Azathoth is not just cosmic, it is personal. To realize you are but a fleeting echo in a sea of blind creation, that you have no witness, no judge, no guiding hand, that is the true madness. And yet, here you stand, beneath indifferent stars, breathing borrowed air, in a universe that dreams only because the blind god has yet to wake.
From the moment humanity first stared into the night sky, we have waged a silent war against the absurdity that birthed us. Beneath the stars, we whispered stories to fill the void, painted gods upon the canvas of the heavens, and spun meaning from the randomness of existence. But behind the constellations, behind every legend and sacred text, looms the unspoken terror, the sheer indifference of the universe itself. A universe spun not from divine will or benevolent order, but from a blind, chaotic dream, the dream of Azathoth. Azathoth, the mad architect of all things, drifts beyond space and time, endlessly spawning realities without thought, reason, or care. We are its offspring, but not in the way of children born from love or intent. We are the unacknowledged consequences of a thoughtless, sleeping force, adrift in a sea of stars that burn without witness. And yet, here we are, carving civilizations into the face of an uncaring world, etching meaning into the walls of an asylum built by a god who does not even know we exist. This is the essence of the absurd: to seek answers where there are none, to hunger for purpose in a cosmos deaf to our cries. Every religion, every philosophy, every scientific endeavor is an act of rebellion against this chaos. We build monuments to ideas, create myths to soothe the gnawing terror of insignificance, and wage philosophical wars to deny the brutal truth that meaning is not given, it must be invented. For millennia, humanity has resisted the darkness of Azathoth's dream. The temples of Mesopotamia, the pyramids of Egypt, the cathedrals of Europe, all monuments, to the human refusal to accept a purposeless cosmos. But behind each stone, behind each stained glass window, there is a hidden acknowledgement. The universe does not answer back. In ancient times, priests looked to the skies, interpreting omens in the flight of birds and the alignment of stars, hoping to find a pattern where there was only chance. Alchemists searched for the philosopher's stone, a symbol of transcendence, a way to break free from the chaotic prison of material existence. Mystics entered trances, seeking to commune with a higher order that might pierce the veil of cosmic absurdity. Yet, for all these efforts, the silence remained. The flutes of Azathoth continued their discordant lullaby, and the god remained blind. But this battle against chaos is not limited to faith. Science, too, is a weapon forged in defiance. Each equation, each discovery, is a human attempt to wrest order from the storm. We mapped the orbits of planets, unlocked the secrets of atoms, and peered into the heart of galaxies. But always the question lingers: why? Behind every layer of understanding, behind every answered question, another uncertainty yawns open, dark and infinite. It is said that the closer one gazes into the true nature of the cosmos, the more it begins to resemble madness. Physicists confronting the bizarre behaviors of quantum particles find reality dissolving into probabilities and uncertainties. Philosophers grappling with the nature of existence encounter the void, the cold indifference of a universe without inherent meaning. And in the shadows of these disciplines, the echo of Azathoth's dream reverberates quietly, unsettling all who dare to listen too closely. Yet, despite the horror, we press on. We create art, music, and stories that burn like beacons in the darkness. The human spirit, fragile and defiant, refuses to surrender to chaos. Even as we suspect that all our efforts may be as fleeting as smoke, we continue to build cathedrals of thought and towers of knowledge. This, then, is the true struggle to live fully within a reality that may be nothing more than a random ripple in the slumber of a mindless god. This we are both the prisoners and the rebels, trapped within Azathoth's dream, yet endlessly fighting against the meaninglessness it implies. Each act of kindness, every creation of beauty, is a middle finger raised against the abyss. In the silence of deep space, where stars flicker like dying embers, the absurd stands tall, but so too does the will of humanity. We write epics about heroes who slay monsters, invent machines that touch the edge of the void, and imagine futures where we master the stars themselves. But perhaps we know, deep down, that the victory is symbolic, that we cannot awaken or influence the blind god who sleeps at the center of all things. But still, we fight, still we dare. Some say that acknowledging the absurd is the first step to liberation, that once we accept the cold truth of our origin, we are free to craft meaning from within. It is a terrifying freedom. No god will descend to show us the way. No divine voice will speak from the heavens. We must be the creators now, forging purpose in the shadow of Azathoth's indifferent slumber. And yet, others fear that this very act of rebellion may draw the attention of the dreamer, that in our feverish quest to make sense of the dream, we risk tearing the veil and glimpsing the chaos beyond. What would happen if humanity truly saw the blind god? Would we collapse into madness, as countless cosmic horror tales suggest? Or would we laugh bitterly, finally understanding that all along we were alone in an endless swirling dreamscape? As you read these words, as you breathe and live and hope, know that this is the war you fight daily, whether you are aware of it or not. The war against the absurd is etched into the human condition, into every story whispered by firelight, into every equation scribbled on a physicist's blackboard, and into every quiet prayer cast into the indifferent night. We stand as fragile creatures, clinging to fleeting moments of meaning beneath a universe that neither loves nor hates, that simply is. And in that tragic realization,
Perhaps there is also something sublime. To rage against the chaos, to build light in the dark, is to be truly human. For as long as the dream of Azathoth endures, so too will the silent, desperate rebellion of those trapped within it.
Somewhere, hidden beneath layers of forgotten wisdom, and sealed within the folds of reality itself, lies the question that haunts every seeker who stares too long into the abyss. Is there a way out of this dream? For if we are all prisoners of a blind god's unconscious mind, mere figments dancing on the surface of Azathoth's endless slumber, then is it possible to awaken, to step beyond the veil, and leave behind the swirling chaos that has bound us since the beginning of time? Throughout history, mystics, occultists, and philosophers have whispered of paths hidden within shadows. They speak of doorways not marked by stone or wood, but by realization, by forbidden knowledge that fractures the illusory walls of the dream and reveals the terrible architecture beyond. These are the forbidden texts, locked away in dusty vaults, the cryptic symbols carved into temple ruins, the maddening dreams that drive scholars and prophets to the brink of sanity. If we are inside Azathoth's chaotic dream, then the dream itself must have seams, cracks, where the veil is thinnest. Some claim that such fractures can be found where reality behaves abnormally, moments when time slows inexplicably, when impossible coincidences occur, or when dreams seem to bleed into waking life. These anomalies, they say, are echoes from outside the dream, fragments of a greater truth breaking through the madness. Ancient Gnostic texts spoke of gnosis, a form of divine knowledge that could free the soul from the material prison crafted by the demiurge. But if Azathoth is the source of this dream, then gnosis is not merely spiritual enlightenment. It is the act of recognizing the scaffolding of the nightmare itself. To know the dream for what it is would be to awaken, to unshackle consciousness from the blind loops of chaos that define existence. But how does one gain such forbidden insight? Those who have claimed to step beyond the illusion often describe visions that defy reason, cyclopean cities floating in dark ether, landscapes where geometry folds back upon itself, corridors that extend into the infinite. Some speak of hearing the flutes that lull Azathoth to sleep, melodies so dissonant and maddening that they warp the minds of all who listen. Others tell of a lightless abyss, a place where all universes collapse into one another, revealing a writhing, formless chaos beyond comprehension. These descriptions echo through cultures and eras, across the tablets of Babylonian priests, the scrolls of Hermetic alchemists, and even the mathematical formulas scribbled by modern quantum theorists, who realize too late that their work touches something unspeakable. But from the shattered mind of an ancient oracle to the fevered notes of a scientist who disappeared without a trace, there is a persistent theme. True knowledge comes at a price. And what is that price? Madness, alienation, the loss of everything familiar. For to know the dream is to know that none of it is truly real. Every face you love, every memory you cherish, every law of physics that anchors your world, all figments in the fevered sleep of a god who will never know you existed. To awaken might be liberation, but it would also be annihilation of the self, as you know it. Yet, despite the terror, some continue to seek the exit. They follow the breadcrumb trails left behind by forgotten civilizations, symbols etched into megaliths, mathematical patterns hidden in sacred architecture, strange correspondences between dreams and physical locations. The deeper they go, the more reality begins to fray around them. Shadows move where they shouldn't, objects lose solidity, and the world itself seems to whisper secrets only half understood. There are even darker rumors of entire cults dedicated to forcing the rupture, groups that gather in hidden places beneath the earth, chanting in languages older than humanity, attempting to pierce the veil and commune with what lies beyond. Some hope to merge with the chaos and become one with the dreamer. Others seek to rip themselves from the tapestry entirely, believing that the horrors of the void are preferable to the hollow repetition of Azathoth's dream. But not all who walk this path vanish. There are scattered accounts of individuals who return, changed,
Their eyes glaze over with a hollow knowing, their words fractured by paradoxes and riddles. Some lose the ability to distinguish between worlds, stepping from one reality to another, as though wandering through fog. They speak of realms where time flows backward, where light bleeds, and thoughts manifest as monstrous entities. They claim that beyond the dream, there is no relief, only a deeper maze, one where the blind god's presence looms even more heavily, pressing against the thin membranes of fragile universes. Yet they also whisper of a singular truth, somewhere within the storm, buried in the heart of the chaos. There exists a pathway out, a thread that can lead a soul beyond the cyclopean walls of Azathoth's dominion, into a realm untouched by dreams and nightmares alike. What that place is, no one can agree. Some say it is oblivion, others, a higher reality, where the slumbering god cannot reach. This obsession with escape permeates the occult underworld. Cryptic diagrams in forbidden grimoires hint at rituals designed to unstitch reality, to slip between dimensions unnoticed by the ever-churning forces of the dream. These rites often require sacrifices not only of the flesh but of the psyche, requiring the initiate to abandon all previous assumptions about self, morality, and existence. But there is an even more unsettling possibility. What if the dream itself is a test? But if knowledge is both the trap and the key? By seeking freedom, are we playing into a pattern woven by the chaos itself, lured by the illusion of escape, only to sink deeper into the dreamer's labyrinth? In the end, the search for the exit becomes a reflection of the very paradox at the heart of existence. We crave meaning, yet we exist in a system built by indifference. We seek escape, yet we may only be circling endlessly within the coils of a sleeping god's nightmare. Some will stop searching, content to find comfort in ignorance. Others will descend further, chasing forbidden knowledge, risking madness for the hope of stepping beyond the curtain. But even now, as you read these words, you may feel it, that faint pull from the edge of reason, that subtle sensation that none of this is quite as solid as you believed. Perhaps you've already brushed against the cracks, the eerie feeling that reality glitches when no one is watching, the fleeting certainty that your dreams are more real than waking life, the suspicion that somewhere just beyond perception, something vast and uncaring watches with eyes that do not see. And so the question remains, if there is a door, will you open it? Would you dare to step beyond the veil, to challenge the dream itself and risk what lies on the other side? Or will you, like so many before you, close your eyes, surrender to the lullaby of the flutes, and let the blind god's dream carry you deeper into the swirling currents of cosmic indifference?
All this time, through all our struggles, through every breath we take, every heartbeat, every fleeting moment of joy and despair, we have remained asleep, not merely asleep, but suspended in a fragile, shifting dream. The horrifying reality is that we are still trapped inside the mindless dreamscape of Azathoth, floating like dust motes in a storm of chaos. And while we go about our lives, oblivious to the deeper structure of our existence, the boundary between dream and oblivion thins with every passing second. Imagine waking up one morning, only to find that the laws of physics are no longer stable. The sky bleeds into the ocean. Your own thoughts twist the scenery around you. Time folds and collapses like crumbling paper. This is not a prophecy. It is the inevitable truth of a reality built on the unstable ground of a blind god's unconsciousness. Azathoth dreams, and as long as the flutes play their maddening lullaby, we are spared. But there is no permanence here. The dream can end, and when it does, everything, stars, galaxies, minds, will unravel like smoke, dissipating into the void. Somewhere deep within us, we know, we feel it in the silent dread that creeps into our minds during quiet nights, in the vertigo that overcomes us when we stare too long into the black canvas of space. We sense that something is not right, that the fabric of the world is held together by threads far more delicate than we dare to admit. It is the cosmic equivalent of balancing an ocean on the tip of a pin, a precarious equilibrium, maintained not by design, but by accident. You may have encountered signs already, anomalies that don't belong, cracks in the dream's surface, moments when reality glitches for just a heartbeat. Perhaps you've experienced that disquieting sensation that time stutters, that something just beyond your field of vision shifted when you weren't looking. The unsettling coincidences, the patterns in chaos, the déjà vu that grips your spine and whispers, "You've been here before." These are echoes of the dream's fragility, subtle warnings from within the nightmare itself. And what of the end? What would it feel like to witness Azathoth's eye flicker open, even if for the briefest moment? Our scientific minds expect fire and ruin, stars collapsing, planets torn asunder by impossible forces, but the horror may be far stranger. The dissolution may come not as an explosion, but as a quiet forgetting, a slow fading, where reality loses its contours, where thoughts unravel before they are fully formed, where the dream itself unspools and leaves behind a gaping void. There are ancient texts and forbidden fragments of lore that speak of the great dissolution, the concept that at any moment, without warning, the blind god may twitch in its sleep, and the multiverse will simply blink out of existence. No apocalypse, no rapture, just silence. One instant, you are here reading this, breathing, thinking, and in the next, gone. Every timeline extinguished, every probability flattened into nothingness. This is why secret orders and esoteric sects have throughout history searched for ways to insulate themselves, to find shelter from the end. They dive deeper into the dream, hoping to locate corners of the labyrinth where Azathoth's chaotic breath is less violent, less prone to shifting the fabric of reality. But how can you hide from a god who doesn't even know you exist? How do you outmaneuver the subconscious drift of an infinite being? Some sects whisper of sanctuaries hidden within dreams, layers within layers, safe zones insulated from the greater collapse. These are not places one can walk to, but states of awareness, mental constructs designed to anchor a fragment of self when the dream dissolves. Their rituals aim to awaken fragments of consciousness within the sleeper's mind, to slip between collapsing realities like insects clinging to splinters of a shattered mirror. But the risks are unfathomable. Those who attempt such feats often lose themselves entirely, becoming hollow vessels, minds so fractured that they are left adrift in realms of formless chaos. Their screams echo through dimensions, forever reverberating in the corridors of broken dreams, where time and space no longer exist. Yet, as horrifying as this sounds, there is an even darker fear whispered among the most ancient cults, that we may already be fragments, survivors of a previous collapse, that what we perceive as reality is merely a degraded echo, a sliver salvaged from an earlier unraveling. Perhaps the inexplicable gaps in our collective understanding of the universe, the dark matter we cannot explain, the singularities that warp the laws of physics are scars from a prior erasure, residual imprints from when Azathoth last stirred. The feeling of displacement we all occasionally encounter, the sense that we are somehow strangers in our own world, may be the residue of an older dream now lost, a prelude to the next dissolution. The flutes continue to play, keeping the blind god dormant, but for how much longer? Time, as we know it, may simply be the cadence of Azathoth's breath, and when it falters, so too will the song of reality. And so, here we remain, still within the dream, walking shadows in a fragile simulation crafted by the chaotic will of a god that will never love us, never see us, never even acknowledge us. We build civilizations, tell stories, love, fight, and die, never knowing when the threads will snap, perhaps in 1,000 years, or tomorrow, or in the space between two heartbeats. But even knowing this, we continue, we defy, we cling to the illusion of permanence, to the fleeting beauty of sunsets, the touch of another's hand, the hope that our actions might matter. For in the absence of cosmic mercy, we become the makers of our own meaning. Yet even now, as you read these words,
The question lingers. Would you want to wake up? Would you dare face the storm that swirls beyond the dream, beyond all comprehension? Or would you rather stay within the lullaby, cradled by the false stability of a world forever perched on the edge of collapse? The end may come in the blink of an eye, when Azathoth turns in its sleep, when the flutes fall silent, and when that moment arrives, there will be no warning, no grand revelation, only the void reclaiming its dominion over the fleeting embers of existence. Until then we dream, knowing we haven't yet awoken.
If the dream were to end, if the veil were torn, and we were to slip through the seams of this illusion, what would greet us on the other side? Would we emerge into a realm of clarity, into freedom at last, from the blind chaos of Azathoth's unconscious? Or would we plunge headlong into a horror so profound, so absolute, that even the nightmare we inhabit now would seem merciful in comparison? Ancient texts hint at this question, but offer no comforting answer. Some whisper that beyond Azathoth's dream lies the waking world, a plane of existence where true gods, older than time itself, reign in terrifying silence. These entities, it is said, are aware, unlike the sleeping dreamer who unwittingly spawned our reality. But their awareness brings no salvation. For them, sentience is synonymous with cruelty. They are not creators, but dismantlers, beings who exist to unmake. To awaken into their dominion would be to step into the cold machinery of entropy, to become a flickering spark, crushed beneath their indifference. Others suggest a darker hypothesis, that there is no waking world at all. Beyond the layers of Azathoth's dream, there is only another dream, and another beyond that, a fractal spiral of illusions within illusions, each one collapsing into another chaotic plane. Like Russian nesting dolls, the layers multiply endlessly, each ruled by forces more alien and incomprehensible than the last. In this vision, the escape from the dream is a descent, not an ascent, leading ever deeper into realms where the very concept of sanity is stripped away, layer by layer. But there are those who believe in the existence of a true reality, one untouched by the thrumming heartbeat of Azathoth's chaos. Some occultists speak of the primordial silence, a realm beyond dreams, where no sound, no light, no thought can penetrate, a place outside the currents of space-time, where the fabric of being is still, motionless, perfect in its absolute void. They claim that this is the only true sanctuary, yet it is no paradise. It is annihilation in its purest form, a dissolution of all identity into the cold nothingness from which everything originally emerged. And what if instead, beyond Azathoth's nightmare, we are confronted with a truth so blinding that it would strip away the layers of who we are, that we are not beings trapped within a dream, but aspects of the dreamer itself. Each consciousness, each fragment of will, might be nothing more than a shard of Azathoth's splintered psyche, caught in the recursive loops of its own slumber. Escaping the dream, then, would not be liberation. It would be a return, a merging with the blind god's core, where individuality dissolves, and all self-awareness is devoured by the infinite chaos from which it arose. These questions are not mere thought experiments. Across countless cultures and secret traditions, rituals have been performed to breach the edges of the dream. Shamanic journeys, deep meditative trances, alchemical transformations, all aim to slip through the cracks of reality. Those who succeed, if the stories are to be believed, return changed, if they return at all. Some become mad prophets, their eyes clouded with visions of impossible realms. Others fall into catatonia, their minds forever adrift in the folds beyond. And a rare few disappear entirely, leaving behind only cryptic notes, circles of burned ground,
and the lingering scent of ozone. But perhaps the most terrifying possibility is not what lies beyond, but what might be watching from the other side. If there is an intelligence beyond the dream, it may have already noticed us. It may be the architect of the flutes that lull Azathoth, the warden of this prison of illusions, ensuring the dream never collapses and spills into the greater void. Some cults whisper of the keepers of the threshold, ancient entities that exist to guard the edges of reality, feeding on the fear of those who dare seek escape. Others speak of the harbingers, dark silhouettes that have appeared in visions to warn would-be travelers that beyond the dream lies not freedom, but a realm of entropy, where reality itself decays into raw nothingness. The harbingers offer no salvation, only a chilling ultimatum: stay asleep, or awaken into oblivion. Even modern physics, brushing dangerously close to these ancient fears, suggests unsettling truths. If consciousness plays a role in shaping reality, if the act of observation collapses wave functions and creates matter from potentiality, then what happens if the observer steps outside the system? Do the rules cease to apply? Does reality unravel? And who or what observes the observer once they have slipped beyond the boundary? Some theorists dare to entertain that what lies beyond Azathoth's dream is not an external world, but the raw data of chaos itself, a sea of fluctuating probability, of unformed universes competing to exist, without a guiding hand or a conscious mind to mold them. These raw possibilities churn and shift, consuming anything that ventures too close. A human mind, delicate and finite, would be instantly obliterated in this storm, its thoughts scattered like ashes in a hurricane. Yet, despite these warnings, there are still those who press on, driven by an insatiable hunger for knowledge, for transcendence, for release from the maddening repetition of a life that feels increasingly like a puppet show performed for no audience. These seekers scrawl diagrams on crumbling parchment, recite forbidden syllables under breathless skies, and stare into the mirrors of old temples, hoping to see a glimpse of what lies behind the curtain. And perhaps some of them succeed. Perhaps even now, there are individuals who walk among us no longer bound by the same dream, their eyes unfocused, their smiles too wide, speaking in riddles that make the hair on your neck stand on end. They might already know the truth, that we are balancing on the knife's edge between annihilation and something far worse. For if there is a door out of Azathoth's dream, it may not lead to freedom, but to a deeper nightmare, a place where the rules are stranger, the horrors more vivid, and the silence more suffocating, a realm where every whispered word echoes across aeons, attracting attention from things that should never awaken. So what lies beyond the dream? Is it a sanctuary, a revelation, or the infinite mouth of the void, waiting patiently for the moment when Azathoth finally stirs, and the dreamer becomes the devourer? The answer may be close, just a breath away, just beyond the veil. But are you ready to pull it aside? Are you prepared to step beyond the dream and face what lurks in the darkness beyond chaos itself? Because whether we find freedom or fall into a deeper abyss, one thing is certain: the flutes cannot play forever.
In the darkest corners of forgotten myths and cryptic traditions, there lingers a persistent whisper, a tantalizing suggestion that beyond Azathoth's chaotic dream, beyond the swirling nightmare that ensnares all existence, there may lie something else, a light not born from stars or suns, but from a deeper source, a radiance that predates matter and time, hidden behind the veil of madness. It is said that this higher reality is not just a contrast to chaos, but the original order from which all creation once stemmed. But if so, why have we been locked away in the blind god's hallucination, exiled from this sacred domain? There are ancient teachings scattered among fragments of esoteric knowledge that speak of a primordial light, a realm of harmony and perfect form, where consciousness does not fragment, but exists as a unified force. The Gnostics called it the pleroma, a fullness beyond the flawed material world of the demiurge. Eastern mystics speak of nirvana, a state beyond the duality of illusion and suffering. Even early Hermetic philosophers hinted at an ineffable source, from which both light and shadow originate. Could this be the realm that lies beyond Azathoth's chaotic slumber, a space untouched by the blind pulses of a god who does not know it dreams? If so, how did we fall from it? How did our awareness become entangled in the nightmare of swirling galaxies and collapsing stars? Some suggest that the birth of the material universe was itself an accident, a violent shattering of this pure realm caused by Azathoth's primal dream. When the blind god stirred in its sleep, its mindless chaos disrupted the harmonic field of the higher reality, casting fragments of order into the storm. Those fragments became stars, planets, and life itself. We, who now roam this illusory world, are but shards of a forgotten perfection, unaware of our origin, blind to the radiant homeland that still pulses beyond the veil. Others, however, speak of an ancient war, a battle not of swords or flame, but of opposing principles, order and chaos, silence and discord. Azathoth, they say, is not alone. Somewhere, beyond the madness, there exists a counterforce, a hidden architect, working tirelessly to restore the balance, to weave the shattered tapestry back into a whole. This force is the guardian of the true light, but its influence is faint, filtered through layers of illusion, heard only in the deepest meditations, in the quiet moments when reality seems to thin, and something stirs beyond the stars. Some mystics claim that this higher realm still calls to us, sending echoes in the form of dreams, visions, and fleeting moments of transcendence. The feeling of déjà vu, the sudden epiphanies that arrive without warning, the sensation of standing on the edge of an immense truth, just out of reach. These may be whispers from the original source, beckoning us home. And yet, why can't we reach it? Why does the nightmare persist? Some say that Azathoth's dream is a prison, a cocoon woven from entropy itself. To ascend beyond it is to navigate a labyrinth of chaos, designed to ensnare the soul. Every act of creation here, every scientific breakthrough, every moment of enlightenment, is filtered through the distorted lens of the blind god's mind, warping the light before it can reach us fully. The flutes that lull Azathoth to sleep may also serve as seals, barriers preventing anything from breaching the dream's surface. For to pierce through the chaotic veil might awaken the god, causing all things to collapse. Perhaps this is why enlightenment is so rare, why transcendent knowledge remains forbidden, cloaked in riddles and madness. But there are legends of those who succeeded, individuals who claim to have glimpsed beyond the confines of the nightmare. In secret texts hidden beneath ancient temples, there are stories of prophets who vanished for years, returning with hollow eyes and trembling voices, unable to articulate what they had seen. Some spoke of a place where colors exist that no human eye could perceive, where sound is woven into geometry, and where thought and matter are one. In the oldest mystery schools, initiates were taught that to reach this higher plane, one must strip away every layer of falsehood, every attachment to the dream. This process was not merely intellectual but existential. It required the dissolution of ego, of identity, of the very concept of self, as we understand it. Only in absolute surrender to the unknown could one pass through the swirling madness of Azathoth's dream and emerge into the undistorted light. Yet the fear remains. What if this higher reality is not salvation, but something equally incomprehensible? Perhaps we imagine it as radiant, because it is beyond our capacity to process. Light and darkness are human concepts. Beyond the dream, there may be a realm where such binaries cease to exist, where existence itself is a form of paradox. For if Azathoth's dream
is chaos without purpose, then what lies beyond might be order so absolute, so unchanging, that it would feel like death to the fragmented minds of mortals. Still, the yearning persists, a quiet rebellion against the entropy that devours stars, the chaos that unravels galaxies. Somewhere, deep within, humanity clings to the hope that there is meaning beyond the storm, that beyond the sleep of the blind god, a beacon still burns. And what if in moments of profound synchronicity or awe, we brush against this beacon, the sight of an infinite night sky, the silence after a storm, the fleeting connection with another being that transcends words? Could these be echoes of the higher reality pressing against the dream's fragile walls? The ancient myths were perhaps never meant to be literal but symbolic markers, guiding us toward a forgotten truth. The labyrinth may have no physical exit, but perhaps the escape lies in the shift of perception, in realizing that the chaos is not all there is. Yet, as we stand on the precipice of these revelations, another possibility emerges. Could it be that the higher reality depends on us to awaken it? That trapped within the dream of Azathoth, we are the scattered seeds of a greater order, each of us holding a fragment of the original light, waiting for the moment to reassemble the shattered whole. Until then, we remain seekers in the dark, eyes straining toward the hidden radiance beyond the swirling nightmare. And perhaps, just perhaps, the greatest secret of all is this, that the light has always been there, quietly waiting behind the chaos, patient and eternal, as we stumble through the shadows of a blind god's forgotten dream.
There is a fear so ancient, so deeply embedded within the marrow of existence, that even the oldest myths dare only to whisper its name. It is not the terror of gods, not the dread of monstrous forces lurking beyond the stars, nor the nightmare of chaos itself. It is the fear of nothingness, the possibility that beyond the labyrinth of Azathoth's dream, beyond the broken veil of reality, there waits no radiant light, no higher truth, no cosmic order, only a void so absolute, so impenetrably empty, that all meaning and hope vanish into its silence. The notion of the void is older than religion, older than philosophy, older than language itself. Primitive man gazed up at the blank spaces between the stars and felt its chill. Even before humanity could articulate its myths, there existed the instinctive dread that there might be no gods at all, no architects, no dreamers, only the infinite black. And what could be more horrifying than discovering that every thought, every tear, every triumph and tragedy is unfolding within a prison of cold indifference, surrounded by nothing but the suffocating expanse of the void? Imagine it, peeling back the dream's last veil, emerging from the fevered hallucination of Azathoth's chaotic slumber, only to find an abyss that stretches in all directions, where even time ceases to tick, a place where no entities stir, no echoes return your call, and no eyes gaze back at you, an emptiness that existed before the first atom, and will remain long after the last star crumbles to dust. This is the void that sages and madmen alike have feared, the blank slate behind all creation, where not even chaos dares to tread, the very space that predates gods and monsters, a primordial silence that exists outside of concepts like good and evil, light and darkness. For what morality, what cosmic struggle can take root where there is nothing but absence? Some esoteric writings suggest that Azathoth's nightmare itself may have been born as a reflex against this nothingness, a chaotic scream into the void. The blind god's thrashing dream gave rise to time, matter, and sentient beings, not as an act of creation, but as an accidental defiance of oblivion. The terrifying implication is that all of existence, from galaxies to the beating of your heart, is simply the residue of Azathoth's unconscious attempt to drown out the unbearable silence beyond. And yet, the silence waits. It always waits. There are ancient symbols etched onto forgotten ruins, warnings in the tongues of lost civilizations that speak of the outer dark, a place beyond dreams and nightmares, where even the flutes that lull Azathoth are swallowed by eternal quiet. Some who have dared to look too deeply into these symbols report visions of infinite, unlit horizons, voids that devour light itself, and voices that dissolve into static long before reaching your ears. Certain occultists, driven mad by this idea, claim that the void is not passive but hungry, not a thing in the conventional sense, but an anti-being, a conceptual predator that consumes realities like falling leaves, collapsing dream after dream into its formless mass. Others scoff at this and assert that the void's horror lies precisely in its passivity. It does not want, it does not hunger, it does not move, it is merely there, and that unbearable stillness is what terrifies the soul. And so, we are left with a cruel paradox. To remain in Azathoth's madness is to endure an existence of chaos, instability, and fragmentation. But to break free may be to awaken into a realm so devoid of presence that it annihilates even the concept of self. This bleak terror has manifested across human cultures, masquerading as the fear of the afterlife's emptiness, of a cosmos with no divine design, or of staring into the night sky and realizing it will never answer back. It is the existential vertigo that arises when one contemplates the sheer scale of the universe and feels in the pit of their being that the universe itself might not care, might not even notice. Philosophers have tried to cage this fear with words, calling it the absurd, nihilism, or cosmic indifference. Yet these terms are but feeble attempts to quantify the unquantifiable. The horror of nothingness defies logic, slips between syllables, and lingers like a cold fog around the flame of human consciousness. The scariest accounts come from mystics and travelers who claim to have pierced the dream, to have momentarily touched the void beyond. Some return as hollow shells, their gaze empty, their voices monotone. They describe an endless blank field stretching beyond comprehension, where their thoughts were not crushed, but simply dissolved into stillness. Others speak of a gentle smothering darkness, where no stars could ever be born, where no gods could ever whisper. Even quantum science, probing the deepest layers of reality, teeters dangerously close to these abysses. At the quantum foam's edge, where particles flicker into and out of existence from apparent nothingness, there are traces of this ancient void, a reminder that the fabric of reality is stitched across a background of emptiness. And if the void is the final truth, then what becomes of us when Azathoth stirs and the dream fades? Will we simply cease to be, our memories and histories erased without trace, or will we persist as ghostly impressions in an infinite black canvas, conscious but utterly alone? Perhaps this is why some cults, heretical even by the standards of esoteric tradition, venerate the void itself. They see oblivion not as terror but as release, a return to the pre-dream state, where suffering and chaos never existed. In their rituals, silence is worshipped, and blackness is revered as sacred. They chant to nothing, calling not for salvation, but for dissolution. And yet, even among the boldest of these cults, there is an unspoken dread, a fear that they may be wrong, that the void is not a neutral end, but something worse, something that endures, watches, and silently waits for all dreams to end, so it can claim what lies beyond. For now, we continue to drift, carried along by the mad dream of a God who does not know us. We carve meaning where we can, find solace in fleeting joys, even as the deeper part of us senses the dark ocean beyond, the one we dare not name, the one that offers no warmth, no embrace, no explanation, but it is there, and perhaps it always has been.